Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, my sister claims she caught my girlfriend cheating with a friend of mine. They both deny it. My girlfriend and I have been dating for a little over 3 years now. Everything was going great until about 6 months ago. We stopped hooking up like we used to, and I'll admit that it was mostly my fault. Work got really stressful, and I had some family issues I had to deal with, and unfortunately, my relationship suffered a bit. We talked, and I promised to put more effort into us. I do think things have gotten better overall, but I know we both still have room for improvement. Despite everything, I absolutely love this girl, and I don't want to lose her. Last night, my girlfriend told me she was going to the club with some friends after work. Uh-oh. I didn't think anything of it. They do this from time to time, so whatever. Last night, around 11 p.m., my sister sent me some texts saying that she saw my girlfriend and my friend making out at the club. I didn't believe her, and she said that when she went to grab her phone to get proof, they had stopped, but they were still dancing very closely, and she did manage to get a couple of pictures of them. It made me very uncomfortable. I asked if they left together, and she said she doesn't know. Here's my problem with all of this. About 4 years ago, my sister told me she had a crush on my friend. She confessed to him, and he turned her down. He told her that she's not his type. According to him, she was persistent, and he ended up being a little mean about it. She was really hurt by it, and even now she refuses to speak to him. It took her a whole year before she could even be in the same room as him. As far as I know, she has a decent relationship with my girlfriend. They aren't friends, but they are friendly. This morning, I sent the pictures in a text to my girlfriend and my friend and asked them what the heck was going on. They both said that all they did was dance. I told them they looked really close and that it was really inappropriate. She told me I'm being paranoid. I told them what my sister said she saw, and after a bit of arguing, my girlfriend said I either believe her or my sister. I told her I don't know what to believe and that I need time to think about this, and she said whatever. I messaged my friend privately and asked him to explain everything. I basically begged him, and he hasn't messaged me back. Not answering me feels like a sign of guilt. I don't think my sister would lie about this, but there is a part of me that thinks she might have saw an opportunity to hurt my friend for hurting her. Or maybe I'm just being naive. I'm really not sure what advice I'm looking for. I just don't know how to go forward. Update. They never texted me back. At all. I probably would never have heard from either of them again if I hadn't told them that I just wanted the truth. They agreed to come over Monday night and explain everything. The long and short of it is that they did go back to his place and they hooked up, but they claim it was the first time doing so. About 4 months ago, they ran into one another after her and I had a particularly bad fight that I don't even remember, and he noticed that she was upset, so he took her out for lunch and they talked about our relationship and me. They exchanged numbers. She ended up texting him about 2 weeks later after I went fishing with some friends for the weekend, and apparently they've been texting daily and hanging out 2 to 3 times a week. She went into extreme detail about exactly how I've pushed her away these last 6 months. I told her I thought things got way better after we talked about everything, and she claims it just got better for about 2, maybe 3 weeks, and then it was right back to where it was. I asked why she didn't bring it up again, and she claimed she did. I told her regardless, she should have just broken up with me, and that cheating on me shouldn't have been her response to what was happening between us. She agrees that she messed up, but says that I share blame in all of this as well. I asked why not just tell me the truth when I confronted them with the pictures, and they said that they panicked. I asked him if he had anything he wanted to add, and he said that he's sorry it happened the way it did, but he's not sorry that it happened. I told him there are dozens of women out there he could have gone for. Regardless of the problems between her and me, he didn't have to go for my girlfriend. He said she hasn't been my girlfriend for 4 months. I told them to get out. I don't really know how I'm feeling right now. I went to remove her from social media last night, and she had a picture on her Instagram of the two of them. I skimmed through the comments, and some people were asking what happened to me. Some people were congratulating them and saying they look cute together, so that didn't feel good. I also apologized to my sister for throwing her under the bus. I didn't realize that I did that until some people commented that's exactly what I did. She said she doesn't care if it meant finding out the truth and getting them out of my life. I'm probably staying single for a while. Some people suggested therapy. Maybe that's something to explore down the line. Anyway, that's it. My husband keeps sneaking out in the middle of the night. For basically as long as I can remember, I've gotten up around 4 a.m. or so to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. That's just how my body works. And lately when I do so, I won't find my husband in bed. In fact, I can't find him anywhere. He does have pretty bad insomnia, and sometimes on really bad nights, I would find him in the living room watching TV or playing video games. Also, it's not every night. It's maybe every other night that he's sneaking out. I'm trying not to let it bother me, but this has been going on for about a month now, and I'm starting to get really annoyed and worried about where he's going and what he's doing at such weird hours of the night. It happened again the other night, and I stayed up until he decided to come home at 6 a.m. Mind you, I don't know how long he was actually gone, just that he hadn't been there from about 4 a.m. until then. I admit I was pretty cranky and annoyed when he got home, and I asked him where he had been. He told me not to worry about it and, "Let's go back to sleep." I kept pushing, and he said that he just goes out for a walk. I wasn't satisfied with that answer, but the conversation kept going back to he just takes a walk to burn any extra energy or to clear his head when he can't sleep. So I decided to drop it, as I was pretty tired and I had to be up in an hour to go to work anyway. Well, it happened again tonight/this morning. I got up to go to the bathroom and I couldn't find my husband anywhere. Again, I was really annoyed, and I stayed up to see when he would get home. It was 5:35, so that's an improvement at least. When he got home, he looked so sleepy and climbed right into bed, and without saying a word, I got out and took my pillow and blanket and I came to the couch, which is where I am right now. I know it's petty of me to give him the silent treatment, but I'm frustrated and I just want to be by myself right now. I can hear him snoring, so I guess his walk worked. I'm not sure what to do now. I'm exhausted and I honestly just want to know the truth. Should I confront him? I'm not big on confrontation, but at the same time, I really just want to know what's going on. I mean, he told you he's going for a walk. If you don't believe him, check if it's true. But be aware this will probably destroy his trust in you if what he does really is just walking. I don't think anyone would be stupid enough to get up in the middle of the night to go do what? Cheating? Then come back to go to sleep? That would be quite stupid, wouldn't it? The fact you're not accepting his explanation underlines other problems in your relationship, and he needs to seek help for that insomnia because it will affect his health badly. Info. Do you have any other reason to believe he might be cheating? Can it be possible that he's walking because he needs to burn off some energy so he can go back to sleep? OP. I know that logically he might just be going for walks, but I have had an ex in the past leave me in the middle of the night and not return for a week, and then break up with me over it. And now I'm realizing that I probably have unresolved issues around this. Other than this, I can't think of any other reason. Why should OP automatically have to take his word? Would he do that if the roles were reversed? Even if he is just walking for 2+ hours seems excessive. I would absolutely have a conversation with him and explain, though you shouldn't have to unless he's just dense. That odd behavior warrants questioning and he shouldn't be shocked by that. OP. And that's basically my issue. Why are the walks so long? Am I crazy for thinking it's weird to take hour-long walks at 4 a.m.? Update. 8 months later. So about 2 months ago, a police car pulled up to my house and 2 police officers knocked on my door. They told me they were here to do a wellness check on my husband because his girlfriend hadn't heard from him in 3 days and was worried about him. They asked me if I was his sister or what my relationship to him was. I just told them I was his wife, and beyond that, I can't even remember what was said. I was in shock. I just remember them leaving and me closing the door and crying. He was at work at the time, and when he got home, he could tell that I was upset. I mean, it was obvious, because every time I tried to speak, I would just start crying again. Eventually, it got to the point that, I guess, he knew he had to come clean, and he told me everything. So yeah, I found out that he had been cheating on me with an ex-coworker of his. Not only this, but he had also been supporting her and her 2 kids, because she couldn't hold down a job and he didn't want them to end up homeless. The reason she couldn't hold down a job was because she had a substance problem and would go on week-long periods where she just wouldn't show up to work. And he says that about a year ago, she called him out of the blue and cried to him, saying that she was about to lose her apartment because her husband was cheating on her and he had basically vanished. Ironic, I know, leaving her with all of the bills that had to be paid. And her 2 kids needed food and new stuff for school. He says that at first, it was just financially supporting her and her kids until he started using with her, and that's when things escalated. He told me he had cut things off with her 3 days before the police showed up, and that's why they were doing a wellness check. So I asked him if that was where he was going when he was sneaking out. He said yes, for the most part. He also said, "To be fair, I really would just go on a walk or a drive around sometimes. And I know there are going to be questions about how I didn't notice the missing money. So here's my answer. We have separate bank accounts. He pays for his bills and I pay for mine. And our joint bills come out of my account and he pays me back whatever the total is for those bills. And well, he never stopped paying me for those bills. And household things that were in his name never got shut off, so I never had a reason to think anything was wrong in that area. I've been so emotionally numb for these past 2 months, and he's been begging me for about 2 months to make a decision about our relationship. As in divorce or work things out, because being in limbo is really stressful for him. I honestly just don't want to even put any energy into thinking about the future at all right now. All of my friends and family are telling me to get a divorce, but I don't know. Everything had been great up until 8 months ago, and our lives are so intertwined. That feels so stupid to say, but I'm basically paralyzed with numbness. I did, however, make an appointment for couples therapy, so I guess I'll see how that goes. He seems up to it. And I just wanted to extend a thank you to all the people that took the time to read this and the last one. Out of curiosity, did she know you guys were still married? OP. Yes, he says he told her that he was married. This has to be one of the top worst ways to find out your husband is cheating. The police knock on your door and say that they're there to do a wellness check because his girlfriend is worried. Poor OP. But yeah, couples therapy is not going to fix this. This marriage is over. All that matters now is how long it takes to drag herself out of it. Am I wrong for not listening to my mom when she tells me that I should not have to take care of a child that's not even mine? I'm 34, male, and my mother, who is 49, female, seems to believe that I should not be taking care of my friend, who's 34, and her daughter, who's 5. For some context, my friend and I met back when we were in high school. She ended up staying with us for a little while and then ended up having to move back to her parents. Long story, and that's for a different subreddit. A few years ago, we ended up crossing paths once again, and we've been living together ever since. We've tried the dating thing a few times, but it hasn't worked out for us. But we still wanted to make a life together, just not in a romantic sense. Her daughter has become the light of my life at this point. She's absolutely goofy, incredibly smart for her age, and I just adore her to the highest level. Her dad isn't around. He only wants to be around his own daughter, but his presence in her life is contingent upon a relationship with her mother. And as you can probably surmise, she does not want that. From the get-go, my mom was incredibly against this. She was against us being together because of a few things that she believed my friend to be. I firmly believe that she still sees her as that person she was back in high school. My friend is not that way now. So because the father does not want to be involved in the child's life, I had stepped up. Because I firmly believe that she should not have to grow up without some sort of father figure in her life. Of course, I'm not without my faults. I do mess up. I'm not going to front about that. But here's the thing. My mom wants me to completely and totally distance myself from both my friend and her daughter. My friend has no support system, and what little help she receives is very flaky and have expressed that they do not want to help her. After the time me and my friend and her daughter have spent together, I just can't see me leaving everything behind because she feels that I should not have to take care of a kid that's not mine. Personally, I don't care if she isn't mine. She may not be biologically mine, but she might as well be. I love that girl to death and will throw myself in front of a bus for her. And I trust my friend implicitly, even with money that I have left with her. The only reason why I'm even speaking to my mom, who I've come to find out is a narcissist, is because she's currently taking care of my grandmother. But even that is shaky at best. Personally, I feel that she's just getting close to my grandmother who has Alzheimer's because once she kicks the bucket, she'll get a bunch of crap out of the will. Once my grandmother passes, however, I plan on going no contact because I don't want that sort of negativity in my life, nor my friend or her daughters. So tell me, Reddit, am I wrong for just ignoring my mom and continuing to take care of a kid that's not even mine? But allow me to address a couple of concerns. 1. Regardless of how my friend and I end up in the future in terms of relationships, that honestly really doesn't matter to me. Reason being is because in any relationship that I've been in the past, I've always tried to make the other happy. 2. I don't really see it as putting my life on hold for a kid that isn't mine. Reason being is because I know that I'm allowed to make my own way in the world. Currently, I'm going to be going to school for my CDL, so that way I can start doing long-haul trucking. 3. Perhaps I'm not giving you guys enough insight as to what my mom exactly does. It's not something that I can really put into words, really. There's just a lot of things that I can't really put into words. It's rather complex, and it's one of those things that I guess one has to be there for. 4. My friend has actually assured me that no matter where we go in this life or the next, she knows that the 5-year-old in question will always know that I will be able to take care of her. Some of the comments have addressed the fact that I may have a desire to have kids someday. They aren't that far off. As for wanting my own kids, who's to say that will ever happen in the future? I'm not really looking into getting into a relationship at this point. Chalk it up to past traumas, I suppose, with relationships and all of that. I still have to work out my own head before I even dip my toe into the wading pool of relationships. I don't really consider myself an angel or a saint like some of the comments have made me out to be. I guess it's one of those situations where one has to be in my shoes in order to really understand the so-called nuances of everything going on in my life. Rest assured, despite what everyone may think, and this applies to people in my circle, I feel that I will continue with taking care of my friend's kid and helping out with whatever my friend needs help with. And who knows, maybe my friend and I will end up together again. We truly don't know what life holds. I'm just the type of guy to take things as they come. But again, thank you all so much for your opinions. I don't think you're wrong, but I hope everyone is emotionally and mentally prepared for when either of you gets a romantic partner. She may be worried you're going to lose out on marriage and having kids of your own if you're focused on your friend and her kid. So what are your end goals here? 5 years down the road or 10? Do you want your own relationships, your own kids, your own place? He thinks he's in a romantic comedy and will end up married to the friend and adopting the daughter. In reality, his friend will end up finding someone she falls in love with and will take her kid and move in with the other guy, while Uncle OP is left behind picking up the pieces of his broken heart and a lot of time lost, and a mother he disowned because she warned him this would happen. Something about this story says that you're going to be absolutely gutted if your friend and the kid move out of state. I think your mom is trying to protect you. Based on your age difference, I could see where life knocked her down a bit. Do I think you're wrong in this stance? Yes, I think you're a desperate, lonely dude. But at the same time, our society needs guys like you to pick up the slack in these types of situations. Most girls like your friend are not fit to be raising kids on their own, and the top-tier guys that get them pregnant have way too many options to stick around with them. That's where guys like you come in. You're so lonely that you're willing to support her and her kid just to have some company. Then you'll act surprised when she cheats on you or leaves you. Oh wait, how is she gonna cheat on you when you're not even together? You're just a meal ticket who isn't even getting the goods. I know you did not grow up with an actual father. If you had, he would have taught you how to have a little self-respect. Your mother is trying now, but it's far too late for you. Well, what do you think? Is OP right, or is his mom? Please let us know. Bruh. Am I the jerk for not picking up my phone on vacation and leaving my tenant, her mom, and my mom to deal with the cops alone? I rent my basement suite out to my mom's best friend's daughter, Sally. I knew her growing up and I used to babysit her. The basement has 2 means of escape other than going into my area. It's fully up to code as an in-law suite. There's no reason for anyone to go through it into my space. I went on vacation and I left my door to the basement deadbolted. 3 days into my vacation, I get an alert on my phone that there's an unauthorized event at my house. I look at the video. It's my mom opening the door for Sally's mom. They freak out when the alarm goes off. Usually if I need my mom to get into my apartment, I'll give her a temporary code. It's always the same one because she gets confused by tech. But I have to activate it beforehand. I cannot do it retroactively. The only choice would be to call her and give her my personal code. I check the cameras in the house, and strangely enough, my house is not on fire. I didn't leave the faucet running. There's no emergency. This is where I might be the jerk. Once I saw they were just messing with my area for no good reason, I put my phone on airplane mode and went back to the party. Maybe 90 minutes later, a concierge at the resort came and said I was urgently needed on the phone. My dad has written down my whereabouts and they called the front desk for me. I excused myself and went for the call. I asked my mom what the emergency was. Why was she getting me out of my friend's wedding reception? Was my house okay? Was my dad okay? She angrily told me to shut up and talk to the cops and the security patrol. I talked to them and apologized for wasting their time. I asked them what the emergency was that brought my mother into my house. They handed her back the phone and let her tell me that her friend did not want to sit in the basement while she was visiting her daughter. So my mom agreed to come let them use my area and it would be a secret. I asked the security company to please lock my house back up and take my key back from my mother. She started to protest, but I hung up. I enjoy the rest of my trip, and my dad has agreed to pay any fines or penalties that come from the false alarm. Sally's mom wants her to move out. That's fine by me. I don't need a tenant and was only doing it as a favor. Sally is almost apoplectic, begging me to not kick her out. She said that she didn't even know what our moms were up to until the alarm went off. My mom is upset that I wasn't available immediately to get them out of trouble, and she's furious that I won't give her back my key. She thinks I did it on purpose. I'm not sure how she thinks I forced her to break into my home without permission. So, am I the jerk for making them sweat until they get a hold of me and taking my key back since I can't trust her now? Not the jerk. Your mom and mom's best friend chose to ignore your boundaries. Mom used a key meant only for emergencies to break into your property when there was no emergency, just entitlement. These are the consequences of her actions. I don't blame you for putting your phone in airplane mode while at an important event. Not your mess, not your problem. I wouldn't kick Sally out if she doesn't want to go though. She's an adult and can make her own choices. Just remind her if she has visitors, she needs to remind them to stay on her side of the property line. Also, maybe give the key to your dad instead. He seems far more responsible and reasonable than your mom. Am I the jerk for refusing to cook for my adult daughter because she's too picky and doesn't appreciate my cooking? I, 53 male, love to cook. There will be days where I slave away in the kitchen all day to make a big meal, and I do it happily. My wife, who's 50, can cook when I'm not around, but honestly, I can't think of any time when she has made anything because I always want to do it. And that's fine by me, as long as I feel appreciated for it. I have a 24-year-old son, Eric. My wife has a 19-year-old daughter, Liz, from previous marriages, and we have a 15-year-old son, David, together. Eric lives with us for now to save up money while he works, but still pays rent. He will eat literally anything, with the exception of hating blue cheese. David likes pretty much everything, but is allergic to eggs. I can work around these constraints pretty easily when I cook. Liz is a different story. She's always been kind of picky with the food she dislikes, but it's gotten way worse. She went to college for a semester and then dropped out, so now she's living at home. And while she was away, she developed some terrible pickiness. She had had stints of being a vegan, being vegetarian, being grain-free, pasta-free, oil-free, etc. But she isn't consistent about it. I try to help meet her needs, but on any given day, she has something new to complain about with the food I want to cook. Sometimes she and I will debate for hours about what to make, with me basically saying, "Tell me what you want for dinner that will work for you, and I'll cook it," so long as it meets the other kids' restrictions, and she is so unhelpful with this. 2 nights ago, I cooked a dish that Liz told me looked good in a book. We all sat down for dinner, and everybody loved it except for Liz. She complained that she didn't realize there were peanuts in the recipe, and peanuts are so unhealthy for us, so she didn't think she can eat it, and can I make her something else? I was fed up, and I told her, "No, you can eat this or you'll eat nothing. I'm done having to deal with your pickiness and criticism of my cooking. I will no longer be taking any of your feedback on what you want for dinner and will be cooking what everybody else wants. You can either eat that or cook yourself something else." She started crying and said that I take the other kids' restrictions on what to eat, so why can't I do the same for her? I reminded her that Eric only dislikes a single thing and that I don't care for it either, so there's no risk of popping it into a dish. And if David has eggs, he could hurt him, so it's not the same as her vetoing every single thing I want to make. My wife took her side and said that I'm being too sensitive and mean because Liz is not my real daughter and I'm showing favoritism, which is BS by the way. I told my wife that she can cook Liz meals if she wants to, as if, but I'm not going out of my way to meet her needs. Am I the jerk? Not the jerk. And maybe Liz is a bit of a brat, but can I ask, is she having a hard time with dropping out and moving back home? Is she online too much, watching health TikToks or whatever info? Does she struggle with her weight or appearance? Not the jerk. The issue isn't your daughter's preferences, it's that they're constantly shifting. You aren't playing favorites. She doesn't understand the work that goes into cooking and is taking your cooking for granted. Your wife is also by saying you should cater to your daughter's every day-to-day whim. Particularly offensive is that she even picked out the dish she wanted you to cook and then wanted you to fix her mistake overlooking an ingredient after you already put in the work. Make her or both of them cook their own meals until they learn to appreciate your effort. Entitled Mom wants to use my car money to pay off her debt. My mother, Entitled Mom, has a problem with money. She has about 10 credit cards and owes over $3,000 to her boss because she borrows money, I have to pay $1,250 to her each month for rent and pay all of my bills on my own, which is $50 for my phone and food/necessities. I try not to ask her for money unless I absolutely need it or can pay her back the next day. This leaves me with no savings and nothing left over by the time I get my last paycheck. Well, I'm getting promoted to a position with a slightly better pay, which could help me start saving for my future. The catch is, I have to have reliable transportation as I'm being transferred to a location that is 15 minutes away, instead of 5 minutes from my house, and an open availability. My mom drives our only car to work in the morning and doesn't return until evening, so I have to work night shifts. I give just about all of my money to my mother so we won't be homeless. I don't have money to do things with friends, buy myself anything, and my job is very mentally and physically demanding. I basically do slave labor because everyone is seeing money except me. I have thought about getting another job, but I already work long hours and don't get much sleep during the day because my mom is a very loud person and talks to me / keeps the TV at max volume, etc. Asking her to be quiet does not help, as she always says, "You're always asleep when I get home. You sleep all day. You're just lazy. When I was your age..." Yeah, when you were my age, you were also getting in trouble. Well, my grandmother lives very comfortable and offered to give me my grandfather's car because he can no longer drive and I am in need of a car to continue my career. I expect to stay with this company as the people/company take good care of its employees once they get promoted to management. Unfortunately, the car was stolen before we could drive down to pick it up. My grandmother, in turn, offered to give me $4,500 to buy a new car. My mom tells me this, along with her plan on how she's going to use my money. The conversation went roughly like this. Entitled Mom: "Gran said she wants to give you $4,500 for a car." Me: "That's cool and all, but do you think they will find the car?" Entitled Mom, ignoring me like usual: "What I'll do is fix the oil leak on this car," from when she drove after a surgery instead of calling me and crashed. $800. "And then pay off my boss, and then ask Gran to co-sign a car for me, and I'll make the payments and you can drive this car." 2003, always needing a fix. Me: "How much do you owe your boss?" Entitled Mom: $3,000. Me: "No." "What do you mean, no?" "I don't get anything out of that. It's not my fault you owe that much money and have debt because you keep buying furniture and shoes you never wear." Literally, dozens of brand new shoes that sit in their box while I wear the same 2 to 3 pairs for the last 2 years because if I want new shoes, I need to buy them. Entitled Mom: "Then I won't have a car to drive to work, and you will have to take me and pick me up every day." Me: "I'm sorry, but if anyone is going to have her cosign, it's going to be me. You have terrible credit. I have no credit. I want to build my credit and have something of my own. Your $3,000 debt is not my fault, and you're not going to use my car money and make promises you can't realistically keep. And I'm not driving an unreliable car that you ruined." At this point, she just starts screaming about how selfish I am and that she's only been in debt because of me. She picked an expensive place to live so she wouldn't have to spend an extra $100 on gas per week, even though we pay around $1,000 more on rent than if we lived 45 minutes away from her work than 10. She buys herself clothes and shoes and jewelry that she never wears because she never goes out. She drinks a lot and lounges around after work until she goes to bed. Lazy sound familiar? Did I mention she has a desk job? She keeps using Fingerhut to buy Ninja kitchen stuff or swaps out furniture because you can buy moderately expensive items on payment plans, except they add about $100 to $300, which she would rather pay to get the item now than save and get it later. I have no idea if my grandmother is giving us a check or cash, but I hope it's a check in my name, as my mom would not give it to me otherwise. She'd say something like, "You're irresponsible. I'll hold on to it." Or, "I already told you, I'm using the money." Do you know how stupid that would make us look to my grandmother? She would never offer to help us again because she would feel scammed. I would be out of a car and unable to fulfill the promotion demands. I'll be stuck in the same boat I am now, giving all my money to my mom and not having a penny to my name a week later. I'll update this when something happens, like getting the money, or hopefully the stolen car being found and getting it. Edit. The rent is not just $1,250. Rent is around $2,200. It may seem like a lot for an apartment, but it's actually a really nice 2-floor townhouse with community amenities, security and a gate, vaulted ceilings, good location that stays cool in summer, and I now get to have my own bedroom, which I have never had for myself until I was 19, and a personal bathroom/shower and a walk-in closet. I pay half the rent and give her money for car insurance because she has a great driving record and it's cheaper to have me on hers than my own. Edit 2. She won't steal my car. That would be pointless. She can't sell a stolen car. My county is really good on that. Unfortunately, the car I should be getting, which is stolen, is 2 counties away where car theft is common. She doesn't want my car. She just wants the money because it's already coming. Do you think that Entitled Mom has any right to OP's money? Or none whatsoever? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got Karen throws food and drinks in my face for not giving her free parking. Happened a few years ago during a football game. The home team's college was providing free parking for game attendees in various lots near the stadium. I used to live very close to the stadium, just a block or 2 away, with a gravel front yard as a driveway. Some people are thrown off by our driveways being parallel to the road, but they usually understand it's not a parking space as there is usually grass between the driveway and road. Unfortunately, the day would come where I would meet a wild Karen in front of my family and we would all almost go to jail for it. It was a single mother Karen in a pickup with her kids, and she had not only pulled into my driveway, but also blocked the gate to my house. My car was in the driveway, so she had to drive over grass in order to park on my driveway, which should have been the first. Almost immediately, my grandpa confronts her and tells her that she was on my property and that free parking was 2 houses down. She didn't take too kindly to that and started screaming about how we're supposed to provide free parking to all visitors. I rush over to the source of the yelling from the neighbor's house and find an irate Karen yelling at my grandpa. So I ask her to leave when she demanded the free parking promised by the college. We told her this wasn't part of the college and to go literally 2 houses down to get a free space or directions to one by a college staff. More yelling ensued, and I decided to take pictures of their license plate plus make and model in case I need to call the police. The daughter saw me take a pic and jumped out of the truck to yell at me before going back to yell at my grandpa. There really isn't much to say about the daughter because I couldn't understand her through her screaming. When I told Karen she needed to leave before I called the cops, she responded by throwing drinks and food at me and my grandpa before I promptly slammed her car door and caused a drink to bounce off the window and spill all over the interior of the truck. At this point, people have gathered around to watch. A few moments later, the cops arrived and separate us. They talked to witnesses and us first before talking to Karen, who responded to everyone's testimony by claiming we said something illegal. Where I live, there are laws restricted on what you can say, and Karen was hoping to get back at us by accusing us of violating these laws. I don't want to get into details because it's a very hot topic, and I learned to just be quiet and deal with it. The police officers detained us for questioning, but one of them saw straight through Karen's ploy, and they explained what we can and can't say. If someone else reports us for saying the wrong thing, then they would personally come back to arrest us. Karen was then given a huge fine and told to leave. In the end, Karen wasted valuable time, got a huge fine, and made a fool of herself in front of everyone when she could have just drove a couple houses down. Next we've got, Not Today, Karen. I used to work retail. I worked for a chain grocery store from the Midwest, then a blue home improvement store, then a coffee shop chain. Pick one of the 2 most popular in America. I worked in both for a time. So I have had my fair share of retail experience. I have had some bad customers and some good ones. But now that I have graduated college and I am working in my career field of choice, I teach. I am happy to say I do not miss retail. I still go out of my way to treat the workers politely. Even if I am having a bad day, they didn't ask to be the target of anyone's wrath. No one gets paid enough for that. On that note, yesterday I was having a terrible day. You know the kind. You sleep through your alarm, or you get stuck in traffic, or someone at work pushed your buttons too far. Or, if you're a lady, that time started and you don't have any ibuprofen in your purse. Basically, picture yourself after a bad day where you question every single one of your life choices and contemplate fleeing into Iceland and marrying a sheep farmer. Because why? But I needed to go grocery shopping after work. I try to do my shopping during the week simply because there are less people. And if you choose your day just right, it could be restock day or the day after so the shelves aren't empty or items aren't already sold out. So I thought I could just go to Walmart and grab some things that I needed. Door stoppers, lunches for a week, shampoo, Advil, cereal, and milk. And to hopefully slip away before the evening rush hit from desperate people who are coming off of work themselves, people who need milk or whatever. So here I am, in my work uniform, black pants, dark blue blouse, and with my lanyard from work around my neck and my jacket. It's a simple one with some keys, my ID, and it's blue because that was one of our school colors. I know, I really should have removed it when I went shopping, but sometimes I forget that I even have it on. I am just so used to it being there. I was in a really bad mood because it was one of those days, and I was just not going to have anyone's BS. Too bad no one warned Karen. I was in the frozen section digging through the vegetable steamers so that I can have some lunches for the next week or so, and trying to find the ones that I liked. This Walmart, for whatever reason, just throws the bags in there, so it's more like digging through and praying they have the steamers you like. I finally found a few and threw them in my cart when I heard it. The dreaded ahem. Knowing stories from this sub, I instantly go into defense mode and instead of turning, just look at this person over my shoulder, hoping that would deter them. Enter Karen. I'm guessing in her 50s or 60s. Short hair. Why am I describing her? You know who this simpleton is. Karen. Can I get in there? I need my rice. Me. Foolishly thinking she was just being her version of polite and wanting to dig through Steamer Mountain. Oh, sure. I move my cart and my steamers aside and continue browsing the frozen meals. I see her digging through the mountain and silently wish her luck. I continue on when I suddenly hear the sound of heels stomping into concrete and 2 sharp jabs at the back of my shoulder. I turn more this time and look at her. Me. Yes? Don't you have any more rice with vegetables? And why wasn't it organized? Me. How should I know? The workers here never do that. You should know because they are your workers. Honestly, the integrity of some people. Me. I don't, Karen, as if I'm not even there. And what about the ones in your cart? Are they expired or something? She actually moves to my cart, which has my purse in the kid's seat, and starts sifting through what groceries I do have. These are the ones I was looking for. You can't set them aside for yourself. Customers come first. Me, holding back annoyance. Ma'am, those are mine, and get me the store manager. I cannot believe you would deliberately hide things from— Hey! If you would take this second to stop and listen, you would hear what I am trying to say. I gesture to myself. I am not in any way in a Walmart uniform. I see her open her mouth, but I cut her off, grabbing my lanyard and holding it up. This is not a name badge for Walmart. This is my ID for my actual job. See? So I am going to ask you one time to put my groceries down and leave me alone. Karen, throwing my groceries down and actually grabbing my cart, clearly scrambling for what she thinks is dignity. I didn't know, you little jerk. You millennials are all the same, so rude and entitled. Me. Nope, not today. I am not putting up with this today. Super Saiyan mode activated. I cannot believe you would be so rude and then try to turn it around on me when I am defending myself from you. She goes to probably shriek at me, but I hold my hand up. No, I am not done talking. Just because you don't happen to work retail doesn't mean you can come in here and scream at random people or go through their carts. The employees work hard to support families or put themselves through school and have to put up with people like you. You are the one who is in the wrong but can't admit it, and you are the one that is being rude. I yank my cart from her grasp, ignoring her trying to yell back at me, but I just don't care at this point. I forego the rest of my list and turn around, leaving the aisle. I wasn't really in the mood to finish my shopping after that, so I paid for what was in my cart and left without further incident. I'll just have to go tonight or early in the morning on the weekend. I know I didn't conduct myself very well, but I was already in a bad mood, and I was not going to put up with a Karen. I would have honestly let it go if she didn't keep trying to blame me or bring age into it. Also, I know it's not as exciting as some stories on this subreddit, given that I didn't see her again and no one else got involved, but still holding the spirit. Honestly though, everyone needs to work retail or be waitstaff at least once just to get some respect for the people that do. Ouch. Can we please get some F's in the comments for Karen? Next we've got the most frustrating customer of all time. I fix phones for a living, and I have this one regular customer come in, and every time she drops a device off, she always spends between 3 to 7 minutes having a conversation with me that goes a little like the following. We've got mother, we've got the daughter, and we've got me. How much is this? Me. If it just needs this repair, then it costs this much, and I can get it done within this amount of time. Will it work? Me. It should do. If it doesn't, I won't charge you. I don't charge for diagnosis. I've never charged you for diagnosis, but from what I can see, it just needs this repair, and that costs this much. Will it work though? It should, yes. Is it okay though? I'm not 100% sure until I've tried it, but it looks like it should be fine with a new repair. I'll let you know if it'll be extra before I do the work. What if it doesn't work? If it doesn't work, I won't charge you. I don't charge to just check things over. Do I have to pay if it doesn't work? No, I don't charge for diagnosis. I can't afford it. Okay, well it's this much for that repair. If you can't afford that right now, I can't do the repair for you today. What if I can't afford it? I'm on benefits. If I get the phone working and you want it done, I can do it now. And you can collect it when you have money. Or you can bring it back when you can afford it. Will it work? I'm not 100% sure until I've tried it. You'll have to leave it with me. Can you fix it? I should be able to! Yes! Do you think you can do it? I should be able to, yes. Can you do it today? Yes. But if it works and you want it back today, I'll need payment today. Will it work? I can only let you know if you leave it with me. Okay. Will you let me know though? Because I've got anxiety and I'm on benefits and I can't afford it. I understand. I will call you straight away if I know it will be extra. Otherwise, I'll just let you know when it's done. Will you let me know though? Will you call me when it's done? Yes. I'll call you as soon as it's done. I promise. And you'll let me know if it's extra? Yes. I'll quote you if it's any more than just this repair for this much. She then proceeds to call me / come back to the shop every half hour and ask if it's done yet and if it's any extra. I do always call her when I have updates too. So anyways, I had this other customer, this woman's daughter, but I didn't know this at the time, bring in her phone to me the other day saying it was water damaged. She had no other way of contacting her, so I said to her that I usually try and get a quote within the hour, but every water damaged device is different, and I might have to work on it for a bit longer, or I might be able to tell you a bit sooner. If you want to pop back in an hour, I'll let you know how I'm getting on, but I can't guarantee an answer by then. I spent 3 hours working on it, cleaning it, etc., and got it to turn on with a screen and battery, but couldn't test further as I didn't have her passcode. She said she wanted nothing done, so she walked out with it with all her original parts, phone non-working and paid nothing. The mom then brought the daughter's phone back in yesterday and asked me to have another look, as it was her daughter's phone. I said, I had a look yesterday, and it needed a battery for it to turn on, but if you want it functional, you'll need a screen because even though there is display, there's no touch, and if you want me to test anything else, I need the passcode. Okay, can I leave it with you and you can have a look? Then can't you let me know? Yes, that's fine. I'll give you a call. So I call her later in the day, after monitoring the battery and testing the screen. The daughter answers and I say, I've had a battery in there all day. It's been fine. For a new one, it's 25 pounds. I'll need your passcode to test any further, and your screen isn't fully functional, so you'll need a replacement. That would be 40 pounds. Daughter. So it turns on with a battery? Yes. So does it work then? Yes, it will need a screen for you to be able to use it, but it does turn on with just a battery and your current screen has display. Is it ready now? I've just got parts rigged up at the minute. I need your confirmation to do any work. Okay, I just want a battery for now. I don't want the screen. Okay, but your screen isn't actually functioning right now. Are you sure you just want a battery? Yes, $40 is too much. Just do the battery and I'll get it in the morning. So I fit just the battery and wait for her to come in the next day. The mom came in to collect it today and we have the following conversation. Does it all work? It turns on. You get display, but you'll need a new screen if you want to be able to use it, and I can't test it without a passcode. So it comes on then? Yes. What if it doesn't work? What do I do? It will need a screen for you to be able to use it, and I can't test anything else without a passcode. It's a water-damaged device, so there's no warranty at all. If you pay for it before you've let me test it, and you say you don't want a screen on it now, that's fine. But if anything else at all doesn't work, your screen, your cameras, your speakers, your microphone, your signal, anything at all, there's no warranty. And since you've not let me check it before paying, I'm not liable. So if I get you the passcode before I pay, you can check it all over? Exactly, yes. So does it work now then? It turns on, but you can't use the screen. And I can't say whether any other functions work or not without a passcode to test it. How much is a screen? 40 pounds. Oh, I don't think I can do that. I'll just pay for the battery now, and she can get it later. Are you sure? There's no warranty. The screen does not work. If anything else does not work, I am not liable, and there's no refunds. Will the phone work, though? No. You need a screen, and I can't test anything without her passcode. So if I pay for it now, and it doesn't work, can I bring it back? You can, and I'll have a look, but there's no warranty and no refunds. I've told you I need the passcode, and it needs a screen. Okay, well I'll pay now and she can pick it up later. So she pays, and around an hour later, the daughter comes in, picks it up, leaves, comes back 5 minutes later, and we have the following conversation. My screen doesn't work at the top. It won't let me press anything. I know. I quoted you and your mom for one, and you both said you didn't want one. Okay then, thanks. She then left, and around 5 minutes later, her mom calls me. She said the phone doesn't work. You said it did. No. I said it needs a screen, and I can't test it. But you both told me at least 5 times you don't want a screen. And you insisted on paying before I had the passcode. Oh, okay. So it needs a screen? Will that fix it then? I had a screen on it yesterday and it worked. If you bring it back in, I can take another look. But it did work with a screen. Obviously, I can't check anything else without a passcode, though. Are you sure? What if it doesn't work? Like I just said, I had a screen on it yesterday and it worked. I told you yesterday it needed a screen. If you bring it in, I'll try a screen. And if it doesn't work, I won't charge you for trying it again. How much is a screen? 40 pounds. I can't afford that. Can't you do it half price? I spent 3 hours labor on it Saturday that hasn't been charged for. I'm not giving any discounts. I've been upfront with the pricing from the beginning. Okay, see you tomorrow. I honestly am running out of patience with her, and I'm getting sick of explaining to her every single time that I'll call her when it's done. If the price changes, if there's more wrong, etc. I can't be any more transparent about my pricing, my timescales, and my work. I just hope she listens to me next time she's in. I won't give your kid a rabbit for free. I breed rabbits. I raise a few different breeds, primarily for my dinner table, but also for showing and supporting other breeders and FFA kids needing project livestock. I rarely sell pets and never advertise them as pets. On the rare occasion I get a pet inquiry, I'll sell only a rabbit that's suitable for pet dom, friendly, not aggressive, and most importantly, if the inquirer seems like they've researched rabbit ownership and agrees to return the rabbit if for some reason they have to rehome it. I never sell rabbits for holidays or birthdays. I am picky with pet homes, as the life of pet rabbits can go one of 2 ways. They're loved and kept for the entirety of their lives, or they're bounced around from home to home when the novelty wears off, and eventually end up in a shelter or as a bait animal, or as someone's dinner. Okay, on to the story. We've got entitled Mom. She was loud. We've got her daughter, who was 4 and didn't do anything wrong. We've got my friend/show buddy, and me. I was at a rabbit show with a friend. It was midday, and we had finished 2 of the 3 shows taking place that day. It was lunch break, and friend and I were finishing up our sandwiches and were prepping our show lineup for the next show when this rather large woman, entitled Mom, and her kid, her daughter, they approached our setup, looking at the rabbit I had on my table. Entitled Mom: "What an adorable bunny. Look at that bunny, daughter." Her daughter: "Oh." Me: "Thank you. It was a very cute rabbit, lopped ears and all white with blue eyes." "How much is it?" "Oh, this one isn't for sale. He's one of my show rabbits." Note: I had a chalkboard with the available rabbits listed. Most of the sales that take place at shows are other breeders and FFA youth breeder/showers. At this point, I had no clue if Entitled Mom was a breeder or if she was looking for a rabbit appropriate for her kid to show. It was rare that people showed up looking for pets at a show, since most of the availables are rabbits that will be priced for show/breeding and depending on quality can be pricey. I pointed out my chalkboard and told her I could show her whoever she was interested in. She balked at my prices. "Why are these so expensive? Those are absolutely ridiculous prices." My cheapest rabbit was $60. Most expensive was $200. Me: "They are priced off quality. If you want a decent show rabbit, they'll be more than a brood quality rabbit." Entitled Mom: "I just want a pet for my daughter, so you don't need to charge us so much." Me: "Oh, I see. Unfortunately, none of the rabbits I brought are appropriate for a kid's pet." "What? Why?" "The big ones are friendly, but weigh over 12 pounds. They're too big for her to handle easily. The little ones are aggressive. They require an experienced handler. They aren't friendly or cuddly at all and aren't available for a pet home. They're available to other breeders." Entitled Mom: "But they're so little. What harm can they do?" Me: holds a pin in front of one of the small rabbit's noses. It chomps down and tries to pull the pin from my hand. They're bred to be high-strung, so they pose upright and rigidly. The breed is generally not a good pet breed. Entitled Mom: "Fine, we'll take a big one." The 2 I have available are $150 and $200. Both are proven and registered grand champions. Entitled Mom: "I am not paying that much for a rabbit. You are out of your mind." Me: "I am not going to lower their prices. They are worth it and will be a great addition to any breeder's herd. They really are too large for your daughter to safely handle anyway. If they don't feel secure while being held, they will kick out of fear. Such a large rabbit could seriously hurt a kid. There might be other exhibitors selling rabbits more appropriate for your daughter and at a pet price." At that moment, one of my breeds was called over the megaphone. Lunch break was over. I scooped up the rabbit off the table and started to move towards the show tables. Me: "Excuse me, I need to put my rabbits up. The judging is starting up." Entitled Mom, ignoring me: "I don't understand why they're so much. You should just give daughter a rabbit because she'll love it and give it a good home." Daughter was looking at the rabbits in transport cages, clearly enthralled by all of them. She seemed particularly interested in the small, high-strung ones. She was being good though, not touching and not whining to hold any of them. Me: "I won't give away any of my rabbits. Excuse me." Entitled Mom: "I'm trying to do business with you. You're going to brush off a paying customer? That's incredibly rude. I can see why no one has bought any of your rabbits. You're being a selfish jerk." Me: "Listen, lady, this is a rabbit show, not a pet store. I'm an exhibitor, not an employee. I don't have to sell anything to you. I didn't have to explain to you why none of the rabbits would be a good match for you, and I most certainly don't have to lower any of my prices for someone claiming they're not worth it because they aren't educated enough to know a purebred from a mutt. Go look on Craigslist if you want a $20 rabbit. You won't find that here. I do not deserve to be called names because you think you're entitled to other people's time and property. Now, I need to get my rabbits up. Get out of my way." She muttered some insult which I didn't clearly hear, but I ignored her. I spent the next 15 minutes or so taking rabbits to the table and watched the judging. All of a sudden, I hear a scream coming from the direction of my staging area. I look over to see Entitled Mom flailing about with a tiny rabbit latched onto the squishy part of her hand, between the pointer finger and the thumb. She's screaming, understandably, as rabbit bites hurt, and pulling the rabbit from the hind end. My friend is trying to grab the rabbit and not having any luck since entitled mom is flailing about like a fish. I'm mad. I'm also mean when I'm angry, and I'm seeing red. We have clip-on notices on the transport cages that clearly say, "Do not touch," and "I bite." This moron went into my cages while I wasn't looking and tried to remove one of my rabbits. I run to her, grab her by the wrist, and scream at her to hold still, otherwise she'll never get the rabbit off. She's obviously in pain. Daughter is crying from the commotion, and friend is looking pale and wide-eyed at the whole ordeal. The rabbit is breathing hard, bleeding from his rear foot and not letting go. I do the only thing I could think of and use my pin to pry him off. She screams and tries to jerk away, which makes me snarl a very angry, "Hold still." Entitled mom, "You're hurting me." Me, "Do you want him off or not? I'm trying to help you. I told you they were aggressive. You did not have permission to touch any of my rabbits." Off pops the rabbit, wild-eyed and panicked. Back into his carrier he goes. He now looks very smug. Entitled mom, "Ah!" She's bleeding everywhere. "I'm going to sue you. Your rabbit attacked me." Me, "I told your stupid butt that they were aggressive. You had no right to touch any of my rabbits. There's a sign on his cage that says he bites. Can you not read?" Friend on phone with police, "Yes, I'd like to report an attempted theft and need someone here ASAP." Entitled mom, "Yes, get the cops here. Your rabbit assaulted me. You brought a rabid rabbit to a place where there are kids. It could have hurt my daughter." Me, "Only if she had broken into my cages like you did. What kind of example are you setting for your kid?" Entitled mom, "Forget you." At that point, the show secretary leads entitled mom and daughter off for some first aid, and I check over my rabbit. She had thrashed him around so hard that all 4 toenails on both hind feet had been broken off. According to friend, the entitled mom refused to leave after I took my rabbits up to be judged, and had been grilling friend about the rabbits and the prices. When another of our breeds was called up, friend had started to bring those rabbits up. In about 20 seconds of being unobserved by one of us, entitled mom thought it would be a good idea to steal one of the small rabbits. Our neighbor had watched her open the cage and grab the rabbit. Fortunately, she picked one of the meanest ones we have, and being an uneducated fool, picked him up by grabbing him by the chest and back, right in bite range. The cops showed up and took our statement and then her statement. I showed them my rabbit and informed them I wanted to press charges for damaged property. Since rabbits qualify as livestock in my state, damage of property was all I could press for. Animal control was also called, and she was cited and charged with animal endangerment. Unfortunately, the wounded rabbit's toenails grew in white, so he can no longer be shown and his value dropped. She ended up paying me for the full cost of the rabbit and has a ban from all rabbit shows with the club that put that particular show on. She undoubtedly has a nasty scar to show off as well. Would you ever like to have a pet rabbit, or would you prefer something else? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got, took a year, but I sued the unsuable. So, after a year-long battle, this finally came to a close. A little backstory. I bought a house about 5 years ago, and in 3 years, it flooded 3 times. It never flooded in the 40 years before. Thanks, climate change. Finally, after the 3rd flood, my wife and I were financially able to move out and sell the house for a loss. We search around and find our dream house, or so we thought. After living in the new house for about 6 months, we noticed something very peculiar. Whenever it would rain hard, the bathtub would backfill with sewage and the toilets wouldn't flush. So we called a plumber. The plumbers were awesome and told us that the sewer lines had broken between the house and the city sewer line, and while we could try and spot fix, we would probably need to replace the entire line. Ouch. Having just dumped a bunch of cash on a new house and taking a loss on the old house, we said to try and keep it as cheap as possible. They dug up where the line was broken. Broken is an understatement. The line had all but dissolved. We were going to have to replace the whole line, about $5,000. Not the best time, but okay, let's do it. Once they exposed the line the best they could, I got a call from the plumbers. The line has broken up so badly, they cannot find where the residential line ties into the city line, or tap. Now the homeowner is responsible for the residential line, but the city is responsible for the tap and the main line. I asked the plumber what is needed. He says we need to get the city plans and dig to uncover the tap. More digging equals more money. At this point, it's been 2 weeks, and I just want to use my own bathroom and take a shower. Okay, dig the hole. They dig a 4x4x10 hole and find nothing. We double check the city's plans, and they are right on where the plans say the tap is. Now we have to deal with the city. We call 311 as directed, and after sitting on hold for 3 hours, a city official sends us the same plans with the location where we dug. We call back and say we already dug there and there is no tap. Getting nowhere with the city, my wife finally goes down to City Hall, and after spending a vacation day hanging around waiting for someone, she finally gets in to meet with an official. Let's call him Richard. Richard prints off the same plans we have already been given and says we need to dig where it's marked. My wife takes out her phone and says, "Look, it's not there." At this point, he mutters to himself and takes out a pen and draws on the plans, marking the actual location. It shows the residential line dog-legging from the original drawings and is about 10 feet west of the initial location. It was apparent that he doesn't want to waste his valuable, cushy government job time on my wife. It was pretty obvious he just made something up to get her out of his office. Plumbers come out, dig a second 4x4x10 hole, read more money, and surprise, surprise, the tap isn't there either. Fun. Back to City Hall and another vacation day wasted waiting for Richard. At this point, we don't want another hand-drawn map. Someone from the city needs to come out and mark where this tap is. They come out, and I burn a vacation day to wait around for them. To their credit, they got down in the sewer, did some digging around, and marked a new spot between the two big holes. Finally, a real location. Plumbers come out and dig a third hole, and if you think they actually found the tap, then you would be mistaken. At this point, the entire backyard is destroyed. Piles of dirt everywhere. The lawn is dead, the trees are dead, it's ruined. Our beautiful new house's backyard is literally crap. Back down to Richard's office. Another vacation day burned and we are livid. We remain calm, but insist that we must have not been tied into the city's main line. There was no tap. Now you might be thinking, how did we not know? 6 months of sewage just piled up in your backyard? In the backyard, there is a large dirt mound that has been turned into a nicely landscaped forest. Lots of room to absorb the sewage that only 2 people would produce. But if it rained hard, the dirt was saturated and would backfill the bathtub and the toilets wouldn't flush. Richard doesn't accept responsibility, but does send out the contractor who did all the work for taps in my area. The contractor comes out, and I get the full second story. 2 years prior, while the previous owner was doing improvements and not living in the house, the main line of sewer was replaced. Basically, they slide the new tubing into the old tubing underground and then go in and install new taps for each house. Since no one was living in the house, they couldn't get into the backyard and told the city they did not service our house. I am furious. It's been 3 months, over $20,000, and all the wasted time and vacation just because Richard was too lazy to do his job and make one call to the contractor to sort it out. Now, remember how my first house flooded 3 times? I learned my lesson dealing with people, and once we knew we had to talk to the city, we recorded everything. Every phone call, every email. I videoed the contractor and his explanation. Everything, and all obtained legally. In my state, you have to have both people's consent to be recorded. He installs a tap, and I take the first shower at my house in 3 months. I am ready to act. I go down once again to Richard's office. I show him everything and want to file a claim. I agree to cover the cost of the residential line, as that is my responsibility. However, I want the city to reimburse the costs to dig the unnecessary holes. I think I have a good case. Pursuant to our city, we had to file a claim before starting any work and provide 3 estimates in writing to file a claim. Since none of that was done and could not be done after the fact, Richard denied the claim right there. Left without words, I walk away completely defeated. I perk up on the way home after calling my wife and being reminded that I have some lawyer friends. Surely one of them could help or know someone who can. Unbeknownst to me, my state has something called sovereign immunity. Basically, you can try and sue the city or state, but it will be thrown out immediately, and Richard knows this. No credible lawyer will help me pursue this case because they know I would just be wasting my money. I am pretty much out of luck. After months of calling around to try and find someone to help, I have resigned myself to defeat. Almost a year goes by. The loans I took out are about to start coming due, and I have no idea how I am going to pay for it. All communication with Richard and his office is blocked. I have also tried his boss and crickets. I tried going back down there, but Richard refused to meet with me. I finally reach out to my council member in a last-ditch effort. I include a synopsis along with all the evidence I have. I didn't expect much. 1 hour after hitting send, my phone rings. It is my council member, and she is livid about how we were treated. She has a meeting scheduled with the head of public works for later that week. She doesn't promise anything, but says she is going to fight for me until they kick her out of the building. After the meeting, she calls me on her way back to the office. The head of public works has accepted full responsibility. She wants receipts for everything. The plumber, pay stub showing the vacation we took, phone logs from the time we spent on hold, the quote from the landscaper to fix the backyard, all of it. She has them all in her inbox by the time she makes it back to the office. That was about 3 weeks ago. Yesterday, I met with my council member at her office. Me: thank you so much. My wife and I cannot repay you for all you have done. Her: it was my pleasure. We chit-chat for a bit. Her: here is a check for what you are owed. Me: this is so great. We can pay off the loan and finally get someone to fix our yard. Wait, this is much more than we need. Her: you forgot to include emotional distress. I added it in for you. Wink. Oh, and if you ever have any issues, you won't have to worry about dealing with Richard. He no longer works there. Just come to me. I have become good friends with the head of public works. Me: oh my God, you are literally the best person I know. If there is anything I can do. Her: elections are in the fall. Maybe you could turn out and vote. So I went home, paid off everything, and the landscapers are coming out next week. Oh, and I am volunteering on her re-election campaign. Thanks for reading. Next we've got Karen demands I switch seats with her. I used to fly a lot for work, living out of a suitcase 35 or so weeks a year. It was exhausting, but I met a ton of great people. This story is about one who wasn't. A lot of people think the big benefits of flying a lot is the miles, and miles are great, but when you fly often enough, the real benefit is the status program. The airline I flew most often had a program where they would give you free upgrades to first class. The airline would sell as many first-class seats as they could, and if there were any unsold, would give them away to the most frequent flyers. Often I'd get the upgrade a day or two in advance, but sometimes I would be on standby for the upgrade, especially for US cross-country flights, and have to wait until shortly before boarding. So I'd have a coach seat, and if something opened up, they'd call me shortly before boarding and upgrade me, which is what happened this time. The gate agent called me up with a smile and says, "Good news, OP. Looks like we can upgrade you." We had a pleasant conversation. I thanked her and took my seat. Unbeknownst to me, we weren't the only two people paying attention to that exchange. Boarding begins, and I settle into my window seat. Nobody sits next to me, and with first-class boarding seat, that probably means nobody is sitting there. Perfect. I can spread out a bit while I work. About 10 minutes go by when a woman with her kid in tow stops by me. She says, "Excuse me," and gestures at the folder I had put on the aisle seat next to me. I apologize and pick up my folder, and as her son sits down, she says, "You need to change seats with me." Poor manners, but whatever. Switching seats on a plane happens all the time. I figure she and her kid were separated for whatever reason. It happens a lot with upgrades, and obviously want to sit together. No problem. Me: "Oh, okay, where's your seat?" She hands me her boarding pass, 26F or something. Assuming she had gotten upgraded, but handed me the wrong boarding pass, I said, "This is your coach seat. Where are you sitting up here?" "There," she says, pointing to my seat. Me: "No, I mean, what is your assigned first class seat?" Her: "I am going to sit with my son." Me: "No problem. What is your first class seat and I'll move." Entitled Mom: "Look, there was a mistake in upgrades. We have these seats." I start to talk again and she snaps, "Why are you being such a jerk?" This gets the attention of the flight attendants. I didn't know if Reddit has a flight attendant horror story subreddit, but it should, precisely for people like this. The flight attendant comes over. Flight attendant: "Is there a problem?" "Yes, he won't change seats with me." "Sir?" she says with a puzzled look on her face. "I will, but I'd rather not sit in 26F after I've already been upgraded." Flight attendant: Okay, can I see everyone's boarding passes? Mine reads 5A, hers 26F, and her son's 26E. Flight attendant. Ma'am, you and your son are in row 26. This is a long flight, and we've been up for 2 hours already. You guys give away these seats. You should give them to us. Those seats aren't big enough for normal people. I resisted the urge to ask what basis she had for considering herself normal, and noticed that a line had formed in the aisle because nobody could squeeze by her to get their seats. Flight attendant. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but you'll need to sit in your assigned seats. No, we want an upgrade. I fly with you every year. Flight attendant. And we appreciate your loyalty, ma'am, but we're boarding and we need everyone to take their assigned seats. At this point, some folks in the aisle began complaining and telling her to take her seat. Entitled mom. Look at him and how he's dressed. I was in jeans and a sweatshirt, my usual travel attire. He doesn't belong here. Just then, a voice from the aisle shouted, You don't either, lady. Take your seat. The flight attendant fought a smile while I just burst out laughing, which only enraged entitled mom further. Somewhere during all of this, the other flight attendant called into the flight deck, and a flight deck officer emerged, squeezing by passengers. Entitled mom. We want our free upgrade. Officer to flight attendant. What seems to be the problem? Entitled mom interrupts. He won't switch seats with me. Flight attendant. This passenger and her son won't sit in their assigned seats, 26E and 26F. Officer. Ma'am, you need to take your seats. Entitled mom. No, we want our free upgrade. Officer. Ma'am, if you want to reach the destination, you need to be in your seats right now, because interfering with a flight crew means the police get involved, and nobody wants that, do they? She yanks her son out of the seat and storms back, to applause from the rest of the passengers. The guy sitting on the other side of the aisle turns to flight attendant and officer and says, Whatever they pay you guys, it isn't enough. The rest of the flight was quiet and uneventful. While I was off the plane long before her, we crossed paths at baggage claim. She called me a jerk under her breath, and in one of my less than proud moments, I turned to her kid and said, Don't be like mommy. Would you have switched seats with Karen or just told her to buzz off? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got Karen I worked with for months mistakes me for a waitress. We were in a musical together. I was backstage crew, she was an actress. I was the person who maneuvered the set for all the scene changes, made sure everyone had their props, painted the set, and did many other things. Long story short, I was pretty much everywhere and interacted on the set of that show to make sure the show ran smoothly. Closing night happens, the show is over, and the entire cast was going to a local restaurant to celebrate. I, of course, went too, and sat at a table with my backstage pals. One thing about doing tech and theater is that you have to wear all black for the shows, so that the audience doesn't see you at all. So we're all at this restaurant, and most of us have already eaten. We're all just talking now, and I'm standing next to a table talking with one of my friends, when I hear someone behind me say, Excuse me? I didn't know she was talking to me, and continued my conversation. She says it again, and rather aggressively taps my arm. I turn around, and before I can even say anything, she goes, Can I get some more of these? And gestures towards her empty plate. Confused, I go, what? The wings. I want another plate of them. Now, I have spoken with this woman almost every day for months now. Put her props in place, moved the set for her scene, all that. I assumed she knew who I was. Why are you asking me? She goes, Well, you work here, don't you? I shake my head, but she doesn't believe me. Well, you're dressed like you work here, and you were just standing at that table and taking their order. Clearly you work here. I apologize, tell her that I in fact do not work there, and that I'm a crew member for their show. Prompt her with some conversations we've had, and eventually she realizes that she is in the wrong. She apologizes and turns away, and that was the end of it. Bizarre. Entitled mom tries to take control of our fire truck so her brat can ride in it. Little background. I'm an EMT and a fire cadet at my city fire department. Basically, I just provide some small assistance on medical calls and observe for others, such as vehicular extrication, working fires, etc. Yesterday, I was on shift with our squad. For those who don't know, the squad is a truck that only carries tools for all sorts of emergencies. It responds to nearly all calls and has no pump for putting out fires, although some squads do have pumps. Anyway, Our ladder truck was being sent to City Hall so some Boy Scouts could look at it. So I asked my officer if I could transfer while they were there. He said it was fine. Then asked the officer of the ladder truck if I could go, and he also said it would be all right. He also asked if I knew the parts of the aerial and if I could guide a small group and give a little tour, and I said I do and I'd be more than happy to. So later we drive over to City Hall and like 15 or so scouts come outside to come see the truck. So I start showing them around, showing them the pump panels, the tools, etc. And then we get to the ladder controls. Our ladder truck is a Pierce aerial platform with a 95-foot ladder. As I was finishing talking about the controls, this woman, entitled Mom, interrupts me and the whole ordeal went as follows. Entitled Mom: "Excuse me, my son would like to ride in the bucket." Me: "Sorry, but we can't prep the truck to raise the ladder currently because while we're here, we still have to be prepared to leave if a call comes through." Entitled Mom: "What do you mean prep the truck? All you have to do is make the ladder go up." Me: "There's a bit more to it than that. We'd have to start the engine, switch the power from drive to staged, pressurize the hydraulics, extend and lower the stabilizers, and fit everyone into a ladder belt." Entitled Mom: "That all just sounds like a load of nonsense." Well, maybe to you, but honestly, it is a lot of work to raise the ladder, and I'm also not authorized to operate it. Well then, who is? Why are you even here if you can't use the truck? I'm an EMT and a fire cadet. I mostly just perform EMS tasks and observe fire scenes. It says my title on my jacket. Well, duh, I can read. After a while of her talking very loudly, the officer comes over and asks if there is anything going on. I start to explain before entitled Mom starts yelling. "Your stupid cadet here says my son can't ride in the bucket." Officer: "Well, he can't. And I heard him already explain to you why he can't." Entitled Mom shrieks. "I am your boss. I am a taxpayer. I drive a brand new Lincoln, and I work for City Hall. You work to serve me." Officer: "You are not my captain or our chief. You have no right to give us orders." "I am going to speak to your head chief about this. What is his name?" Officer: "His name is on the city website under the rSlash tab." "Whatever. I'm going to have you all fired." We just brushed it off, and I continued giving my tour of the truck when I noticed she disappeared around the back. I asked the group to hold for a second while I popped around back to see her trying to use the remote control unit for the ladder. Obviously nothing was happening because the truck was turned off and the hydraulics weren't pressurized and the safety locks were on. Entitled Mom: "This fell out. I'm trying to put it back." I tried to take it from her and she held on to it tightly, saying, "No, I got it. You just go away. I don't need you to show me how to put a box back." I yelled for the officer, and he came with both the firefighter and the engineer, and they grabbed the control unit from her, and she yelled we're all making a huge mistake, blah blah, and how all she wanted was to let her kid ride. And I could see her kid in the group looking very embarrassed, as now everyone was watching her make a fool of herself. The officer said, "I think we're gonna have to just leave the tour at that and head back to the station." So the officer watched her as the engineer and firefighter put everything back and closed all the compartments before we then left. A few hours later, we all had a laugh about it over dinner. Also, officer doesn't mean police officer. The officer sits in the front right-hand side while the engineer sits on the left side and drives. Officer is in charge. Engineer operates the truck systems, and the firefighter goes with the officer. Next we've got Karen claims to be owner's daughter. So a little backstory on where I work. It's a very small family business where we sell pools and pool chemicals. Only 2 desks in our office which can fully see into the showroom. 1 desk for the manager and 1 for me. Also, when I say small business, I mean it. Normally, it was always just me, assistant manager, and my mom. I had been in this business since I was born, therefore knew a lot for my age. However, we had just recently hired someone new that was a little older than me. I was 21 at the time, and my new coworker was 28. Now, on to the story. The cast will be Matt, coworker, me, Karen, idiot customer, and Karen's kid. So the manager, my mom, had to go and pick up some office supplies for us and mail off some bills, so it was just me and my coworker. We weren't very busy at the time since it was a weekday and fairly close to closing time, so I was sitting at my desk and he was at the manager's desk since he didn't have his own, on our phones waiting to hear the door open. We hear the door open and my coworker, we will just call Matt from here on out, starts to get up and I tell Matt that I've got this one, so he sits back down. I stand up and see this lady, Karen, and her kid come in and start walking around. I walk out into the showroom and welcome them to the store and ask if they need help finding anything. Karen: "We are just looking right now. I will let you know if we have any questions." Karen's kid: "I want a pool toy. Where's the pool toys at?" Me: "Well, the pool toys are right over in the aisle by the door and on that wall there." I motion to the wall where all the displays were. Karen: "I told you that we didn't need any help right now." I just stepped back and walked into the office, not wanting any confrontations this close to closing. They continued looking around for another few minutes when I heard the kid hollering from the front of the store. I looked up and the kid was climbing on our ladder samples, which clearly have neon green signs that are 8 by 11 that say, "Do not climb on." So I walked up to the front of the store and politely told the kid that he couldn't climb on them. Karen: "You can't tell my son what to do." Karen's kid: "I just want to climb on them." He then starts to cry. This kid was about 10. Me: "I'm sorry, but it's against company policy to have anyone climbing on them for safety purposes." "Well then, maybe you should have a sign on them that says you can't." I point at the sign that says you can't. "Well, you should have made the sign bigger." I'm not the best at containing my frustration, and when I get frustrated at someone, my sarcasm comes out with absolutely zero filter. This kid had been running around our store screaming like a banshee, and I was getting very annoyed. Me, under my breath: "Well, maybe try using your eyes next time." "What did you say to me?" I said to look for a sign next time you want to let your son climb all over displays in a store, and I walked away. She continues walking around with the kid still crying until she gets to one corner where we have some Legos for kids to play with while the parents wait to have their water tested or be helped. Mind you, the test lab was closed and the area roped off with all the lights shut off to that corner. Kid is screaming, "I want to play with those Legos!" Karen: "All right, just go ahead." I wasn't even in the mood to say no, as long as it stopped him from crying. Then he starts carrying them out from the designated area and throwing them down the aisles at our toy displays. I had enough of these little jerks because I knew I was going to have to clean it up. I've been told that I'm pretty scary when I'm angry too. Me to Karen's kid: "You are not allowed to take the Legos from the play area. Please put them back where you got them from." Karen: "Who do you think you are talking to my son that way?" Me: "I am simply telling you both that what he has been doing is not allowed in our store, and he needs to stop." "Well, how dare you talk to us that way? I'll have you know that I'm the owner's daughter, and I will have you fired for this." Mind you, the owners are my grandparents, and she sure as heck isn't my aunt. She walks up to the counter that looks into the office before I could say anything. Karen to Matt: "Have you heard how your employee talks to me? He is the most rude employee I have ever seen in here, and as the owner's daughter, I demand that you fire him." Matt: "Well, I can't do that." "Why not? He is rude." "I can't fire him because he's my boss." "What? No, he isn't. You're lying to me." She's droning on and on. Now, we have an employee picture on the wall celebrating our business's 50th anniversary with everyone labeled in the picture, including the owners and all their kids. Karen finally shuts up and looks at me while I'm grabbing the picture frame off the wall. I slide it in front of her and point to my label. My name, assistant manager, with grandson underneath my name and title. Her face turned every shade of red under the sun. Me: "So you mean to tell me you're a long-lost aunt of mine? Because if you're not, you can get the heck out of this store." She practically dragged her kid out of the store while trying to run out the doors. She kept pushing on our doors trying to get out. They're pull doors. Me shouting to her, "Maybe try to pull the doors, you dummy." Next we've got entitled customer angry that I charged him for soda. I'm a bartender in a place that gets a lot of weekly regulars, and they're sort of like VIPs at our place, so they get special pricing/discounts on certain things. One of these things is that they pay less for a soda and get free refills for it. One guy, Dave, is hard for me to read but never gives me any trouble. He always opens a tab, and when it's time to close out, he always asks me to do it for him. Our POS is on an iPad kind of device, so he'll have me enter the tip for him. He tells me how much to enter and to sign for him. He always tips about an average and appropriate amount, which I appreciate. Last week, for whatever reason, he told me whatever 20% is, double it. I was surprised but thanked him profusely. After closing out, he ordered a soda. The guy never skips out on his tab, so when I told him how much it would be, he brushed me off and kept chatting with the other customers at the bar. This is not unusual. I wasn't worried, and I knew he'd pay me before leaving. Come time for him to leave, he says goodnight to me and says, "You were just kidding about the money, right?" I told him I was not kidding, wondering if he was joking. Nope. He starts making a big fuss about the fact that I'm charging him. "I thought we got free sodas." I said, "You get free refills, but the first one is at a discount for you guys." Then he continues making a fuss. "That's the price with the discount? That's ridiculous. That's so much for a soda. I can't believe you're charging me for that." I'm leaving out a lot of fluff because he really just kept going on and on. I felt my face getting red. I'm not good with confrontation and didn't know what to say, so I said, "I'm just doing my job." The part that bothered me most is what he said next. "I can't believe this. I just tipped you 40%. I was really offended. For one thing, I never ask for tips, and I certainly don't ask for certain amounts. Nobody forced him to give me a 40% tip. Now he was making me feel bad about the tip he gave me, ranting at me for the prices which I don't have any control over, and berating me for literally doing my job. What really gets me is the way he said the last part. Was he insinuating that because he was such an amazing guy to give me such a big tip, that I should give him things for free? Or what? Use part of that tip to buy his soda? If it was such a big deal that he didn't spend any more money, why didn't he just tip less and use that for his soda? I'm telling this story because tonight is his regular night and I'm apprehensive. I know it's not the biggest deal in the world and he never did me any trouble before, but I do know he's a jerk. I just want to put that little incident behind me and not have him poke fun at me for what happened when I was just doing my job. To all of you telling me I should have just bought the drink and I should buy my regulars drinks sometimes, you're absolutely right, and I do indeed do this from time to time. I love my job, I love my customers, and I try my best to take care of them and let them know I genuinely enjoy seeing them and I'm not just interested in a tip. If I was really so bad in this scenario, then that really bothers me and there's unfortunately nothing I can do about it now. The reason I shared this is because I was upset and embarrassed, standing there for so long getting yelled at by somebody who I do my best to take care of every week. It's nice to treat your regulars, and I'm happy to do it. If he hadn't jumped right into a rant over it, then maybe I would have felt more inclined to treating him, but I don't think I should be bullied into doing it. What would you have done? Would you have paid for the customer's soda? If so, why or why not? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got, security won't let me into my work despite seeing me enter often. Some quick backstory. My city's hockey team has a very nice facility that includes many concessions in the arena as well as a restaurant with a viewing area to overlook the game. Last year I worked as a dishwasher in the restaurant, but now I work as a cook in the concessions. This particular story happened last year on multiple occasions. Because I was a dishwasher, I often wasn't scheduled until an hour before we opened or right when we opened, as they didn't need dishwashers during pre-opening prep. And since we relied solely on hockey game attendees, we were only open on game days and opened an hour before the game was scheduled to start. This obviously means that by the time I would arrive, security was setting up at their ticket-taking areas. One of the ticket-taking areas in particular was where I needed to get through to reach the staff entrance to the kitchen. Some of the security and event staff recognized me and would just say hello as I walked through, but there were a few times that others would stop me and not let me go in. I can remember one of these conversations really well, but it is not word for word because it happened over a year ago. Security: "Where are you going? Where's your ticket?" Me: "Oh, I don't have one. I work in the restaurant." At this point, I was already running a little late and just wanted to get inside and get to work, because I didn't know how many dishes were waiting for me by now. Security: I need some ID to prove that. Of all the staff who work in the restaurant and concessions, the only people who have said ID, which by the way is a city-issued ID saying they are city employees, would be the higher-ups, so our head chef, the restaurant coordinator, front of house coordinator, etc. So obviously I would not have one. Me: I don't have ID. I'm a dishwasher. We're not important enough. Then I can't let you in. Me: Come on, you can literally pull anyone out of the restaurant right now. I motion over to the servers who are setting up for the night just inside the front entrance to the restaurant, all of whom know me well. And they will tell you that I work here. Seriously, I just have to get in so I can do my job. The security guard looked at me for a minute, then I guess decided it wasn't worth it and said, "Fine, go, but bring some ID next time." Despite me saying that I don't have ID anyway, but whatever, I got inside so I didn't press it. Luckily, I now work in concessions, so I'm at work most of the time before security even shows up, so I don't run into this problem anymore. But a guy I work with in the concession had an interesting run-in with security just the other night as we were taking out the garbage at the end of our shift. Between all 6 total concession cooks, we have to gather up all the garbage produced by the concessions and wheel it out in 2 large bins. To get to the compactor though, we have to go through restricted access doors that only players and staff can enter. Everyone keeps their work uniforms on as we do this, except for myself. I normally change back into my street clothes by then. They just have a jacket or sweater over top because we have to go outside, and this is Canada in January. We had finished everything earlier than normal, so when we took the garbage out, security was still there. 6 of us, 2 giant garbage bins, and the security stops the one guy in our group and tells him he can't go back there. So he just says, "I work here," and keeps walking with us as the security guy shouts behind us, "Hey, you can't do that." We all had a good laugh at that later. Next we've got, actually, I'm the owner. Okay, so backstory. 1, I'm young, just turned 18, and me and my mother own this business where we breed and sell snakes and the snake necessities along with food. I'm the actual founder, while my mom is the co-founder. Story. I was tending the store since only me and my mom work there, and it was a slow day for us. So I was checking on all the animals, feeding the ones that needed to be fed and so on. This one person, we will call them entitled parent, comes in and just is looking at all the animals. I thought nothing of it till about 5 minutes or so go by when they walk up to the counter and entitled parent snaps at me and gets my attention. I look up, slightly offended by how entitled parent decided to grab my attention. Me. Yes, may I help you? Yes, I was wondering how much this one is, while pointing at a tank. Me. I'm not sure. Let me check for you. I say that while walking to the tank. Well, it says here it's only $60. $60? Just a couple days ago, I saw this exact one for only $30. Me. No, I'm sorry. That one was sold already, and we changed it out. You can't just change the price because it's a different one, and it's still the same breed and everything? Me. Well, yes, while it is the same breed, it is much bigger, as the other one was younger than this. It cost us more to maintain this particular one than the rest. Entitled parent sighs. Well, I don't have that much. Can you give me a discount? Me. I'm sorry, but I cannot do that for you. Please, I only have 50 on me. Well, I can't give you a discount, but we have some that are smaller than this one and are cheaper. They're in the back if you want me to bring you one out. No, I don't want another one. I want this one. Me. Well, I'm sorry, I can't lower the price for this one. Like I said a few seconds ago, we have more in the back if you want this particular breed. I don't want a different one. I would like this one. Me. Please don't yell at me. I don't care. I want to buy this animal. I'm sorry, I cannot help you. Let me speak to the manager. Well, I am the manager. Entitled parent huffs. Fine, I'm gonna call the owner. Me. Actually, I am the owner also. Don't lie to me. You're not even old enough to own a car, nonetheless a store. Yes, I am old enough, and I'm the owner while my mom is the co-owner. Quit lying to me. I want to speak to the actual owner, and not some jerk teen. Please watch what you say, or I will have to ask you to leave. You can't kick me out. I know the real owner, and he lets me get a discount if I don't have enough all the time. Me. Well, that's good for you. Now, if you're not gonna buy this one and only cause a disturbance in my store, I'm gonna have to ask you to leave. No, I'm not gonna leave. You are gonna give me a discount, and this is that. Now I'm mad because Entitled Parent is yelling at me when I can't change the price and making a scene over this and just straight out ignoring me. So sell it to me now, or I will call the owner and he will sell it to me. She then walks over to the counter where there are cards with my name and number. Entitled Parent then dials the number and then answers the phone. At first I was confused because it states on the card that I'm the owner, but then I remembered it had my mom's number also on the card, and Entitled Parent actually called hers instead. Luckily, my mom told Entitled Parent to buzz off pretty much, and then Entitled Parent tried to call the other number instead. While Entitled Parent was dialing my number, Entitled Parent had this grin on while looking me dead in the eyes. I will never forget the look on her face when I answered the phone. Hello, this is the shop. OP speaking, how may I help you? Entitled Parent then hung up and left the store immediately. What I will never understand is why Entitled Parent got so upset about that animal. Crazy Karen tries to get behind the cash register. A little bit of backstory for this. I was 15 years old and very short, so I looked like I was 12 or 13. 15 is the legal age for people to work here as long as a parent lets them work there. I normally ran the cash register, and my manager was somewhat trusting of me to make sure that all the money was safe. This will be important later. The store has 4 cameras and 3 TVs, one towards the doorway, one at the counter, and one in the staff-only room. This will also be important. So on a calm day, we have a customer come in. She came in with 2 shy-looking kids. I had not recognized her, so I thought she was new. We have a pretty small town, so I know most of our customers. This lady went up and down the aisles. At the time, one of my friends was in the store. He came up to me and said this was the lady he was talking about. He said that she was going to be a pain to me as she has to another coworker a few days back. I said that he shouldn't worry about it. So after about 20 minutes, she comes up to the counter. She starts giving me her items. So far, so good, I thought. She wasn't paying attention to me at the time. Then she looked up. Here is all of the cast. We have me. We have Crazy Lady. We've got Manager. We've got Friend. We've got Shy Kids 1 and 2. Here's how it went. Crazy Lady. What are you doing behind the counter, young man? Me. I work here, Miss Crazy Lady. Where are your parents? Friend. Mrs. He works here. He is 15 and is allowed to work here. Crazy Lady. You are both trying to get free stuff and steal the money they earn. Me. Can you please give me the rest of your groceries so you can leave and we can move on with our day? Shy Kid 1. Mom, come on. We need to get to the party. Crazy Lady. Shut up, Shy Kid. You don't know what's going on. I'm just sitting there watching as she screams. Friend. Ma'am, can you hurry up? I want to buy some donuts. You mean steal some donuts? My friend, whose father and mother were cops, was taken aback. Friend. Ma'am, I'm not trying to be mean, but now you are trying to make me dishonored toward my family's history. Get this filthy friend of yours out of here before I get an actual employee and get you arrested. Shy Kid 2. Mom, come on. You do this everywhere we go. To kids in the neighborhood. It's embarrassing and you still haven't learned your lesson. Shy Kid 2 looked about 14, around the age of where I started thinking about getting a job here. Crazy Lady. I will show you both how right I am, and how you should both let Mom take care of this business. Me. Ma'am, I'm trying to be nice here, and that's it. I'm getting an employee. Crazy Lady starts hollering for someone else. A coworker peeks in, but I wave him off. Is he part of your plan too? She says, gawking. No, Mom! A voice yells out, and we both look at the kids. They turn red and start saying sorry. Then Crazy Lady comes over the counter and onto the workspace. She grabs me by my collar and starts screaming at me. I'm scared and panicking because I have no clue what to do. Then the manager comes out. Crazy Lady seems relieved. You wouldn't believe what this dumb kid was doing, she said, smirking. I stopped him before he could rob you and take everything he could. Manager. Lady, why are you behind the counter? Don't lie, I saw you on the camera. She looked dumbfounded. You were out here? Manager: Yes, and I saw you assault one of my employees. I think that she was starting to put two and two together. Then she pulled out her ultimate weapon and said, "Just because he's an employee, that doesn't mean he wouldn't take anything. It's not like you have a camera pointed over here and you can see him." Now I was working with this manager for around 6 months, so he knew that I hadn't been stealing money. This is why he trusted me with the register. Manager: He wouldn't steal a single cent, as he is too paranoid about what would happen. What if he was just using it as a disguise? Manager: Then he's pretty good at acting and should be on stage instead of here. I heard that the band doesn't care about your age as long as the person playing the instrument is good at it. Just when the authorities arrived. What is all of this for? She said nervously. Manager: Well, let's see here. Assault of employees, trespassing, shoplifting. She put a candy bar in her back pocket. And I think that's it. Well, nothing too big at least, right? Yeah, my manager was able to crack jokes at any situation. She was arrested and I didn't press charges. Crazy lady was sentenced to 3 years and 7 years of community service. I do feel bad for the kids, as they seem to not be a jerk like their mother was. Next we've got, Karen made my summers heck for 3 years. Context: This was the rural Midwest in the late 1990s. I worked 3 summers as a lifeguard at a lake. It was a membership-based sportsman's club, which is basically a rural country club. It had a stocked lake for fishing, a beach and swimming area, camping, archery, etc. Most of my best stories involve the same Karen/entitled mom. I have at least a dozen stories about this crazy lady, but I started with the first 3. But if people like them, I'm happy to tell the rest in later updates. This Karen/entitled mom was mid to late 30s and had 2 deplorable, horribly behaved sons that were roughly 10, Terror Kid 1, and 7, Terror Kid 2, my first year, and would have been 13 and 10 my last. Year 1, Week 1. I am on the lifeguard stand. Entitled mom comes to the bottom of the stairs. I am on duty, so as this conversation is happening, I am still mostly watching the 20 or so people in the water and occasionally looking directly at Entitled mom. Entitled mom: Hey, you! Me? Points at myself. What's up? Where are my kids? In a super snippy, impatient, entitled tone. Me: Sorry, ma'am, I don't know you. Which kids are yours? Why aren't you looking at me? Do you know how rude that is? I'm sorry, ma'am, but I'm working right now, and I need to keep an eye on everyone in the water. Entitled mom eye rolls. Whatever. My terrible kids, where are they? Since our kids were so terrible, I knew them by name, as I had been warned by other staff. Me: Oh, they left the beach during 2:45 p.m. break and haven't been in the water since. It was roughly 4:30 p.m. So, where are they now? Me: I don't know. As I just told you, they're not in the water or on the beach. What do you mean you don't know? You're supposed to be watching them. Kid 2 is only 7. Me: I'm not a babysitter, ma'am. I'm a lifeguard. Exactly. You're supposed to be watching them. Ma'am, I am doing my job. My job is to watch the water and make sure everyone's safe, not follow your kids around the club. I am a lifeguard, not a babysitter. So you just let 2 kids run off unsupervised in the club to who knows where? Me: Ma'am, I didn't let your kids do anything. They were swimming when I blew the whistle for break at 2:40. Everyone was out of the water, including your kids, at 2:45 when I went up to the break room. When I came back at 3, they were not on the beach. It looks like their beach stuff is over there. I already checked there. Their toys and towels are there, but their shoes are gone. Me: Have you checked the playground? Usually they only seem to take off their shoes if they have to cross the gravel. They better be there. Someone could have taken my babies, and it would be all your fault. Me, thinking to myself, those kids are jerks. No one in the right mind would want them. Luckily, I knew better than to say that out loud and went with, I'm sure it's going to be okay, ma'am. Go look over there, and if they're not there, I'll blow the whistle and get everyone out of the water and we'll all go look for them. Entitled mom leaves. About 10 minutes later, she returns with them in tow. They presumably were at the playground. She gathered up their stuff, and I blow the whistle. It's time for 4:45 break. I end up walking up the stairs towards the clubhouse right behind them, and she stops at the top of the stairs to yell at me. You were lucky this time, but you need to keep better track of the kids, if you want to keep working here. Incident 2. Year 1, Month 2. Kid 1 went fishing that morning, and when the beach reopened after lunch break, Kid 1 found himself in possession of fish guts that he then brought to the beach and started throwing them at girls laying on the beach. Kid 1 is now maniacally throwing fish guts at them while laughing and yelling, "It's raining," as the girls are screaming and trying to run away. Me. Kid 1, what are you doing? Stop that, that's disgusting. Kid 1 throws fish guts at me while continuing to laugh.
Shut up, I don't have to listen to you.
Stop it right now, or I'm going to ban you for the rest of your life. Banning from the swimming area is the standard punishment for unruly conduct, but it usually only lasted for an hour or an afternoon. Kid 1 stops in shock, with his last hand full of fish guts in his hand, ready to be launched in my direction.
You can't do that. No one gets banned forever.
Me. Push your luck and let's find out. Me and Kid 1 have a stare down. Kid 1 drops the fish guts. Me. Now pick them up and put them in the trash.
Or what?
Well, you're already banned for the rest of the day today, but if you don't throw them away, I will ban you for the rest of the week.
I wasn't even planning on swimming today anyways. I didn't even bring my trunks.
Me. Fine. You're banned today and tomorrow. Now pick those up, or I'm going to add Saturday.
That's not fair.
I don't care. You can't throw fish guts at girls or at lifeguards. You're 10. You know better. Kid 1 continues whining, but actually complied and picked up and tossed all the fish parts before leaving the beach. On the next break, I tracked down the front desk admin that was the lifeguard manager to tell her the story, making sure to mention that one of the girls was the club president's daughter and that Kid 1 had talked back to me. The lifeguard sometimes had a hard time getting her to stand up for us, but she hated backtalk, and the president's daughter thing helped, so she assured me that my 2-day ban would stick. As anticipated, Entitled Mom later gave the desk admin an earful. I wasn't there for it, but based on the admin's retelling, the gist was some combo of boys acting crazy and how dare the beach force her to spend the next day with her son and instead of dropping him off at the beach because she had appointments. Year 1, roughly Month 2. Context. About 40 feet into the swimming area from the beach, there was a rope that demarcated the shallow area. There was about 4.5 to 5 feet of water at the rope, and the shelf of the lake dropped off steeply about 10 feet past the rope, and the deep of the swimming area went up to like 60 to 75 feet. To go past the shallow end rope, kids had to pass a swim test for safety. Situation. It is after last swim. I am on closing, and I am dragging up the boards and floats to the shed. Entitled Mom.
Hey, OP.
Me. Hi, Miss Entitled Mom. How are you?
Terrible. And it's all your fault.
Me. What? What happened?
You're discriminating against my little angel.
I'm sorry, Miss Entitled Mom. I have no idea what you're talking about. I haven't seen your kid all day.
Of course you didn't see him. After you were so mean to him and embarrassed him, he doesn't even want to show his face around here, and has been hiding at the campsite all afternoon.
Me. I'm sorry your kid is having a rough day, but I don't have any idea why you're mad at me. I haven't even seen him.
Yes, you did. You failed him at the swim test, even though he swam the full distance. But you told him you were failing him anyways because he's a bad kid, and it's his punishment for throwing fish. And I demand you apologize and pass him immediately.
Me. Miss Entitled Mom, were you there when this allegedly happened? Or is this just what your kid told you?
Are you calling my son a liar? He's a good kid and would never lie to his mummy.
Me. Miss Entitled Mom, please don't put words in my mouth. All I know is that I did not do swim tests this morning. I worked the 12 to 8 shift, and as you may know, we do swim tests between 9 to 11, so I wasn't even here. But if you can hang on while I finish locking up this equipment, I can check the schedule and see who did swim tests this morning. Entitled Mom.
I don't have time for this. Just go write down that Kid 1 passed and get him his wristband so he can go out to the rafts in the deep end with his friends.
Me. Again, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. Unless one of the staff administers a swim test and he passes, we can't get him a wristband. It's for his own safety, but I'm happy to look into what happened this morning and get back to you. Entitled Mom. Eye roll stomps off. I went off and found the lifeguard who did swim tests this morning, and what a shocker. Entitled Kid had failed miserably. He didn't even make it a third of the required distance and only made it 20 seconds into the tread test, 90 seconds treading water without touching. If folks like this story, I'll tell you about the follow-up with Entitled Mom about this failure and more of her crazy antics. Next we've got Karen shouts at me after having a seizure at work. Backstory: I've always been a medical disaster from the day I was born, literally with heart problems and severely underweight up to today when I'm blind in one eye, have a speaking disability, and have recently been told that I have a high chance of being diagnosed with epilepsy from a severe head injury I had about 4 years ago. I was referred to a specialist a few weeks ago, but he didn't do anything, so currently working my way through the medical system to get it properly looked at, but haven't shown any signs or symptoms until recently in the form of partial seizures, which caused me to lose my balance, become extremely dizzy, feel very scared, see flashing lights, spasms in my legs, and doesn't allow me to respond to events happening around me properly. Chapter 1: The Meeting. So this took place in work not long after I had been told there's a high chance I have epilepsy. I had told one of my coworkers as a safeguard, just in case, but hadn't told any of the managers as I didn't want it to put my job in jeopardy, and I didn't feel comfortable with them knowing at the time. My coworker and I were working, and she was checking up on me every hour or so to make sure I was alright, and I was trying to stay in a good mood. After about 2:30 p.m., when the lunch rush had finished, work had quieted down and we had a small stream of customers come in, including our entitled mom, who we'll name Karen, as per usual. She came in with her husband and her 2 kids, a boy and a girl, who were lovely people. As they enter, I greet them and they go to order their food at the counter. No biggie. They get it and sit down and all is good. Chapter 2: The Incident. Not long after they had sat down, Karen points at me from across the restaurant, trying to flag me down and wave me over. I comply and go over to attend to them, asking what the problem is. Karen then goes on to say that she's missing several things from her order. As she's doing this, I get a feeling that something isn't right, and a couple seconds later, I realize that I'm about to have a seizure. I tell her I'll sort out the issue and quickly walk into the back to make sure no one sees. Once I get to the back, the symptoms kick in, and as I have predicted, I have a seizure. It was about 2 to 3 minutes with a minute of recovery and giving myself time to readjust and get myself straight before walking back out to do my job. As soon as I walk back out, Karen comes stomping up to me, red-faced. "Where the heck have you been? Where is our food?" etc., with a few insults thrown in for good measures. I apologize and tell her that I had some medical business to sort. "Well, it isn't more important than the customer," she replied with that typical jerk Karen tone. I, of course, am not in the mood to put up with this woman and take her receipt to the counter without saying a word, and after looking at it, realized that all the food was handed to her and nothing was actually missing. I walk back over and explain that nothing was missing, but she cuts in. "First you skive for 10 minutes, then you lie to a customer, and now you tell me that I'm wrong? Worst customer service ever." Me: "I'm sorry, ma'am, but I told you that I had some medical problems to sort out urgently." "You're probably just a lazy little jerk that's too dumb for a real job." At this point, her husband cuts in. Husband: "Karen, leave the man alone. If he says he had something medical to sort, then it's an urgent thing." He turned to me. "I'm so sorry. May I ask as what the medical problem was, if it's not too much?" Seeing the opportunity, I reply, "I was having a seizure." The husband then looks at me in surprise, and Karen's face has gone completely red. He's lying. If you did, you'd be in an ambulance." Me: "No, ma'am. There are different types of seizures, and the ones I have last about 3 minutes and aren't as serious as a fit, so I can get back to work straight after." Husband: "I'm very sorry to hear that. I hope it gets better for you, and I'm sorry for all the trouble caused." Me: "Thank you, sir. Enjoy your meal." I then walked away, Karen being talked to by her husband, who was pretty angry at her. Chapter 3: The Aftermath. About 20 minutes later, they were getting up to leave, making sure to clean up any mess that they had left, which was nice, and the husband came over to me while Karen got the kids ready. "I'm very sorry about that. She's like that sometimes. I really hope things get better for you, as again, I'm sorry." I told him that it's perfectly fine, and he isn't the one who should be apologizing, but trying to get a Karen to say sorry is like trying to get blood from a stone. They left with Karen hanging her head in shame after what I can only imagine were some words from her husband. I just hope that she learns her lesson and she treats more people with respect from now on. Thank you for reading. Next we've got Entitled Mom Screams Her Head Off, Mistaking Me for Being an Employee. Alright, so there is this computer store near my place that also does repairs, Xerox, and printouts. Basically, there are 3 computers which can be used by the customers to do their work. So I had to take a printout of me and my friend's projects, which we had to submit the very next day. My friend and I got to the store, and I connected the pen drive with our projects. Just then, this lady, Entitled Mom, and her kid enter the store. They came and stood directly behind me watching. I thought they were waiting for us to finish, as all other computers were in use as well. My friend had a picture in his project missing, so we decided to copy-paste one from the internet. After I did that, turned to him and asked, "Is this okay?" And he nodded. I clicked the print button and the printer came to life. Suddenly, Entitled Mom tapped me on the shoulder. I turned around. "Yes?" And the conversation went as follows. Entitled Mom handing me a paper. "I need this paper Xeroxed. Do it fast. I haven't got much time." Me. Ma'am, I'm sorry, but I can't do that. You see,
What? This paper is really important. It's for my darling daughter over here, and it needs to be Xeroxed. So do it now."
Me. Ma'am, I don't even know how to operate that machine, and She cut me off again and started screaming.
What? You can't operate a simple machine? You're lying. Get your lazy butt to work and help my daughter. I saw you helping that kid.
She points at my friend, who I forgot to mention has a baby face.
Over there. So help my daughter.
My friend and I look at each other. Me, now annoyed. He's my friend, and I don't work here.
Liar. You lazy jerk.
By now, she had everyone's attention. The owner, who was all the way inside the store, kinda big store, came running over. Owner. "I'm the owner. How can I help you, ma'am?"
"Well, you could start by firing this lazy employee. Disgusting."
Owner. "Ma'am, with all due respect, he really doesn't work here. He's just a customer." Entitled Mom's face changed. It was amazing to watch. What happened next was even more amazing.
"Well, I didn't know. You should dress better, young man."
The store doesn't have a specific uniform. What?
"I need to get this Xeroxed."
Owner. "Sorry, ma'am, but the Xerox machine isn't working. We will have it running by tomorrow." Entitled Mom lost it. She screamed and screeched and then hit the Xerox machine and threw a few boxes with computer tech in them. The owner kicked her out, but not before calling the cops and making her pay for all the damage. She's been banned from the store as well. These people, I swear. Next we've got ex-employee attempted to embarrass me. She's now unemployable. A few months ago, we let go of an employee that was just completely horrible at her job. We'll call her Sarah. After a couple months at my place of employment, Sarah just couldn't get the hang of the job. I gave her ample training and even had a seasoned person, we'll call her Becky, sit with her, essentially making sure she doesn't mess anything up. We finally got to the point where it's sink or swim time and she sank. Months go by without hearing from her and all is well. Until last week when I had to pick up my brother. My brother is on methadone and he goes to the clinic once a month to pick up his medicine. No big deal. I bring him down all the time. I sit outside and wait. He does his business and we go. I come into work that same day and Becky pulls me aside. "Hey, I want you to see this before it becomes a rumor." It was a picture of me standing next to my very identifiable truck, with a conversation that explains that Sarah has a business relationship with the clinic and how since I'm here, I must be a client. Becky, by all means, is no angel. She has her finger on the pulse of the drama at my work, so this isn't necessarily good news for me. While there's nothing to be ashamed of by seeking help, I would prefer it not be associated with me. Since Becky is a peer and not a subordinate, it wouldn't affect things too badly, but the fact that she loves to gossip and have people pay attention to her, I know it'll spread. The only people that matter will believe me. I'm not going to explain it to my subordinates and hope they believe me. I explained the basics of my visit
and say the only thing I could to prevent Becky from spreading these rumors that she's claiming to want to stop, even though she's the only person still in contact with Sarah. Knowing Becky isn't the brightest, I quickly say it's a violation of HIPAA to spread healthcare information of a person or their family to anyone, let alone their workplace. I tell Becky I don't want to involve her because she only received the message and request her to screenshot the conversation and send it to me. With screenshots in hand, I go outside and call the clinic. Provided Sarah's full name and the screenshots, I mention my very limited knowledge of HIPAA and express how upset I am that someone that has any official connection to the clinic would take pictures of me, my vehicle, and send them to my workplace. Turns out that it was a violation of HIPAA as well as a violation of an even more stringent law that has to do with addiction treatment. It's been ran up to the powers that be. I've been told that her professional relationship with that clinic will end, and they would be willing to bet that she wouldn't be able to be involved in any aspect in her field. I'm still waiting for the curtains to drop on this whole show, but I'm satisfied with how it's wrapping up. The time I almost got detention at a school I don't go to. I graduated high school about 5 years ago, but still like to visit my old high school teachers as they were some of the best teachers I've ever had. This happened a year after I had graduated high school and already had a year of college out of state under my belt. For context, my old high school had a dress code, red card rule, where if you wore anything that conflicted with the written dress code, you were given a red paper card, marched down to the detention office, written up, asked to change, and given detention. I don't remember exactly what happened each time you got a card, as I never got written up, but I'm sure after a certain number of cards, you would get a suspension. One of the biggest rules in the dress code was skirt and shorts length. Shorts could not be any shorter than your fingertips when your arms were extended straight down at your sides, which was fine for the shorter girls, but heck for the taller girls with longer arms. My best friend at the time, I'll call her Chloe, was one of these taller girls and struggled to find shorts and skirts that she could wear that weren't knee length as her arms were pretty long. Once, Chloe wore a skirt to school that finally reached past her fingertips and she was feeling pretty confident in it. However, she was walking down the stairs and it rolled up a little, just an inch, and we were immediately met with a shriek from the office lady. I'll call her Karen, and Chloe got red carded despite it being an okay length. We were always a little bitter about that, and the fact that the popular girls never got red carded for the clothes they wore that broke the code, but the quieter, more nerdy girls got called out every time. Fast forward to this story. I had snuck into my old high school during the school's lunch period to go visit my all-time favorite teacher. My school had little to no security back then, and old students would often just walk in all the time to visit teachers without checking in as a visitor at the front office. It was almost summer break. My college got out earlier than my old high school, so I was wearing short shorts and a t-shirt. Nothing inappropriate to be out in public in, but wouldn't pass for the dress code, unless I pulled them down and wore them like 90s hip pants. I was walking down the stairs, the same stairs where Chloe had gotten carded, to leave, when I heard a "Hey you!" shrieked across the stairwell. It was Karen. The following conversation went something like this. Karen: "Young lady, what are you wearing?" Me, ignoring her as I didn't think she was talking to me. Karen comes up to me. "Young lady, I asked you, what do you think you're wearing?" Me, shorts? "I can see that. Those shorts are way too short. You are breaking the dress code." It was at this moment that I realized I had made a big mistake. For some reason, I thought I had aged enough in a year of college to not be mistaken for a high schooler, despite the fact that there were seniors at the school who were also my age. I looked at her, bewildered, but also amused because this was going to be interesting if she tried to give me detention. It was probably here that I should have told her that I didn't go there, but I guess I didn't want to get in trouble for not signing in as a visitor at the front desk, so I just went along with it. Nee, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I didn't realize they were this short. I rode my bike today, so they rode up a little." Karen: "All right, hun. It's the first hot week this year, so I guess I'll just give you a warning. But you need to wear more appropriate shorts to school tomorrow, or you will get a red card and detention. Now, get to class." Me, smiling: "Okay, I will. Thank you." I, of course, did not go to class.
but just jumped on my bike and rode home, with a bewildered look from one of the other staff who stayed outside during passing periods to make sure students didn't leave. Security has really been upped at that school over the last few years, so now when I visit, I have a big visitor sticker along with a sticker of my photocopied driver's license, so I can't be mistaken for a student. But I always wonder what would have gone down had Karen decided to not randomly be forgiving and had taken me straight to detention like she usually did, and me having to explain that I did not in fact go there and it would be hard to give detention to a non-standard student who was not in the school's files. Would you ever visit your old high school, or do you try to stay as far away from it as possible? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got Angry Old Man versus Corporate Policy. We've all had those customers that start getting really upset over basic rules that come from way up the corporate chain, and last week we had a doozy. I work in the tire center of a large warehouse retailer, so we don't get fancy. We have lots of rules to follow, and there's very little wiggle room there. One of the big rules we are strictly required to follow is regarding purchases of only 2 tires. For safety's sake, we have to always install new tires to the rear of the vehicle if only 2 are purchased. We will rotate the existing rear tires to the front for free as part of that. This is to help avoid a spinout in the event of traction loss. A lot of old school people hate this rule. It used to be accepted wisdom that new tires were better on the front, and especially with a front-wheel drive vehicle. Many older people want their new tires on the front to even out the wear. Regardless, we won't do it. Cue Angry Old Man walking in. He ordered 2 tires a few days prior and was bringing his vehicle in to have them installed. We go through our usual sign-in process, get to the step where he has to sign the invoice to approve the work, and he loses his mind over seeing that we've signed him up for a rotation in addition to installing 2 tires. He swears up and down that no one told him that it's his right to get tires installed however he pleases, that he's a paying customer, blah blah blah, the usual. I supervise at work occasionally, but thankfully wasn't that day. So while Angry Old Man is yelling at my poor coworker who happened to be signing him in, I run and get the supervisor on duty. Supervisor starts trying to calmly explain that this is corporate policy and for his safety, but he's not having it. He demands to speak to the manager. Of course, unluckily for him, our manager was in that day, and he always follows policy. Angry Old Man is not happy. He wants to talk to my manager's manager. We try to explain that the store manager doesn't know anything about tires and won't overrule corporate policy, but Angry Old Man doesn't care. So the store manager comes down, talks to the guy to see what's going on, and immediately asks my manager what we're supposed to do, because as we explained, he runs the store. He doesn't install tires. This really sets off Angry Old Man. Now he's ranting about how we're all incompetent and he wants to talk to one of these corporate people that are setting the unreasonable policy. During all of this, I've been busy signing up multiple other customers, doing price quotes, selling car batteries, etc. As my supervisor goes to get our regional manager on the phone, the guy who sets corporate policy, I'm signing up a guy for new tires on his Tesla. Tesla guy has been patiently waiting in line while I tried to deal with everyone ahead of him and while the rest of my coworkers try to placate Angry Old Man. Tesla guy finally snaps. He scolds Angry Old Man for giving us a hard time when we're just doing our jobs, following the rules, and are actually just trying to keep him safe. Angry Old Man just scoffs and tells Tesla guy to mind his own business and buy his tires, but Tesla guy isn't having it. While I run to get his tires, I can hear Tesla guy laying into Angry Old Man about how he should be ashamed, how everyone could have been done and on their way if he wasn't wasting time, and how incredibly rude he's been. Angry Old Man is left sputtering, and my supervisor comes back with our regional manager on the phone. Angry Old Man talks to regional for about 30 seconds before angrily hanging up, signing the paper, and walking out the back door without another word. A little while later, when Angry Old Man picks up his car, I do happen to be the one who gets to deal with him directly, and he snaps at me about how he's going to cut up his membership card, how we've lost a valuable customer, and that my store can take our policy and shove it. Next we've got Teacher Yells at Me for Not Being Able to See. We've got Entitled Teacher and we've got me. So, a little backstory. I lost my glasses and I sit in the back of the class. Most teachers seem to understand that I cannot see the board from where I'm sitting at and read the question aloud to me or ask me to stand by the board to read the question, a seemingly simple task. I've always struggled with math, and so most math teachers don't really like me all that much. I was sitting in class. I was a bit tired since it was first period and I didn't get sleep the night before, so I laid my head on my hand, but it was quite obvious that I was looking at the board. Later into class, I took out my notebook and started writing notes, and halfway through she stops talking and looks at me. The conversation goes as follows. Entitled teacher: OP, are you paying attention? Me: yeah, I am. No, you're not. Stop drawing on your desk and follow up with me. I'm not drawing on my desk. I'm writing notes so I can study with them later. And then I raise up my notebook in the air and turn it around to show her both sides. Teacher: you don't even have your book on your desk. Didn't you hear me when I told you to open it onto the right page? It's literally right there. It was smack dab in the middle of my desk, so I pointed at it. Just pay more attention. I didn't respond, and she goes on to finish explaining, and I finish writing my notes. After she finishes explaining a section, she puts a question on the board and begins asking someone to answer it. I couldn't see, and I didn't really want to answer it, so I kept my hand down. But, like you'd expect, she picked me. Entitled teacher: OP, can you answer this for us? Me: not exactly. I can't see the question. You can't answer the question, can you? Get up right now. I would answer it if you could read it out for me, or at least let me go read it. Go stand by the door. I'm calling your parents after this. Okay. I stood up, pushed my chair in, and stood by the door. Entitled teacher: really? Me: what? Go to the principal's office. All right. What do you want me to tell him? Go! Yes, I understand. But what would you like me to tell him? Why was I sent in? Tell him that you're sleepy and you want to go wash your face. I don't think I need his permission to do so. I need yours. Well, I want you to ask him. Sure. I left out and made it to the office. Me: Mr. Principal? Principal: oh, hello, OP. How are you? Pretty good, thanks for asking. So, Mrs. Entitled Teacher wanted me to ask you for your permission to wash my face. Why does she want you to wash your face? I proceeded to explain the story to him. Principal: just go back to class and tell her to read the question out for you, OP. And so I thanked him for his time and headed back to class. Entitled teacher: did you wash your face? No, but I can answer the question for you if you let me read it. This is ridiculous. Did you even go to the principal's office? I did. He asked me to go back to class and request you read it to me. I doubt that. Did you get a slip by him saying that? Me: he doesn't hand out slips. Then come with me. She calls in a replacement teacher to watch over the class and takes me up to the principal's office. Entitled teacher: excuse me, Mr. Principal? Principal: yes, entitled teacher? OP said they came to your office and you said that I was in the wrong? Principal: what? No. I knew you were lying to me. Call OP's parents, please. Me: I did not tell you that he insinuated that you were in the wrong. I told you that he asked me to request you read it out to me. Entitled teacher: so he would basically be saying I was wrong. Principal: in that case, that's exactly what I said. Oh? How come? Principal: they couldn't see, entitled teacher. I thought they were just bluffing. Get back to class, OP. Entitled teacher trailed behind me. Principal: no, entitled teacher, could you stay to talk for a moment? I just smiled at her and walked away. She came back in a bad mood and just said, sit in the front, now. But a few seconds after she said that, the bell rang, so I just grabbed my bag and left. Who do you think was right, the student or the teacher? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got, I am the owner and you are no longer welcome here. First of all, this is not my story, but my friend Debbie's. This also happened about 15 years ago, so details may be a bit hazy. Debbie worked the front counter at a local bakery, whose specialty was what they called football cakes. It was a basic chocolate cake with the logos of the two teams drawn in icing on it. They made these for the local high school games and some college and pro games. Since the Super Bowl is today, that's what reminded me of this. Debbie worked the front counter while the owner and his kids worked in the back, baking, decorating, etc. The only caveat was you had to order these cakes at least one day in advance, though longer was better. The fridge in the back would get full, so they would put them in the display case up front with a sign that said, "Reserved, not for sale." One day, a lady came in and asked for a cake for the Iowa Hawkeyes Minnesota Golden Gophers game later that day, I think about 2 hours until kickoff. Debbie asked her what name she had reserved it under, and the lady said no name, but she saw them in the display, and could she have one of those? Debbie explained that those were all reserved, and unless she had reserved one, she couldn't have one. The lady blew up and said she needed one right now, and she knew the owner, and unless Debbie sold her one, the lady would get her in trouble, maybe even fired. The owner heard all of this and came up front and asked what was going on. The lady said that Debbie was being unhelpful and wouldn't sell her the cake. The owner asked if she had one reserved, and when she said no, he said, "I'm sorry, but we need at least a day reservation to make it." The lady again didn't like it and began yelling at him, saying that she knew the owner and would have all their jobs. The owner gave Debbie a subtle wink as if saying, "I got this, just play along," and then said, "You know the old guy who owns this place? When you see him, tell him he's a complete idiot." Debbie said it took every ounce of self-control she had to not bust out laughing at that point. The lady said, "I'm sure he doesn't want to hear that, and if you sell me the cake I want, I won't tell him." The owner said, "Tell him all you want, but you're not getting that particular cake. If you want another one, I'm sure we can find something else for you." The lady said, "No, I want a football cake. If I don't get one, I will tell the owner about you two and have you both fired." The owner finally gave up on his ruse and said, "I am the owner. I've never seen you before, and with luck, I'll never see you again. Please leave my establishment." At this, Debbie lost what control she had and burst out laughing. When the lady turned to look at her, Debbie nodded vigorously, as if to say, "Yeah, he is the owner." The lady then turned bright red and bolted out the door, never to come back. I miss that bakery. I used to get all my birthday cakes there, and when we went to go pick it up, the owner would come up front with a spoonful of whatever frosting he was making at the time for me, and tell my parents to reserve me the upper left corner piece because he had put a treat in it, either a dollop of extra chocolate or a strawberry or something similar. When he retired, he gave the bakery to his kids, 2 sons and a daughter, and the quality went downhill as they substituted his ingredients with the cheapest substitutes they could find. When he passed a few years after that, it was said that he died after seeing how his kids had ruined his bakery. Next we've got, Karen claims I pushed her and writes fake online reviews for sympathy. Some background. I go to a clinic with a scanner that you use to sign in with what looks like a membership card at the front desk. No matter when you scan, your appointment time still stands. So even if someone signs in before you, your appointment time will remain exactly the same. This fine day, I go into the clinic and a woman was standing there rummaging/dumping her purse on the counter. She was standing about 4 feet from the scanner. I had no clue what she was doing, so I calmly walk up, scan my card, sit down, and wait for my appointment time. The second I scan, she looks at me with evil in her eyes and yells, "How rude!" Me, "I'm sorry, I didn't know what you were doing over there, but don't worry. No matter what time you sign in, your appointment won't change." Entitled lady, "I was looking for my card, and you just took my spot." Me, "No, I didn't. Your appointment time is still the same." Entitled lady, "But I was looking for my card, and you shoved me out of the way." By this time, there were witnesses in the waiting room telling her the same thing I was. Also, the doctor comes out to see what is going on. I'm just ignoring her yelling and sitting pretending to look on my phone. I gave an obligatory whatever and refused to engage with her further. The doctor then explains to her the same thing I did and several other people have told her. They also thankfully defend me against the shoving accusation. To my delight, my appointment was before her. The doctor apologized and even offered to escort me out the door. It's a small clinic with usually only one doc on staff, and the front desk lady was out to lunch. The entire appointment, I could hear her complain to everyone who came by. When she wasn't getting the sympathy she wanted, she called someone on the phone, and I could hear her, through the walls, screaming to whoever about what an awful person I am. This clinic is, how no one cares, with fake tears in her eyes, blah blah. I then go online to write a review about how much I appreciate that specific clinic and doctor. The most recent review was from her. She announced her name across the waiting room because she was sure I had taken her appointment and wanted the doc to check. She's writing that I pushed her and basically everyone was mean to her and she doesn't understand how no one took her side. On the bright side, she's dumb enough to put her full name in every review she writes and her profile says her address. Now if I was a different person, I might be tempted to take advantage of that info, but I just take pleasure in knowing karma will get her good someday. Or she'll upset someone enough that they'll do something really stupid. Anyways, thanks for listening and have a great night. Karen refuses to pay for textbooks. My kid has just started high school, and since it's the beginning of the school year in Australia, there's plenty of parents who are adjusting to how high school works. There's specific rules about pickup zones, no stopping zones, parking zones, etc., mainly to keep the kids safe when crossing the busy road outside the school. Enter Entitled Mom, who for the last few days has decided the rules don't apply to her. Entitled Mom has a very large SUV and parks it squarely in the 2-minute drop-off zone, over 2 spaces I might add, at approximately 2:45 p.m., waiting there until her kid comes out after 3 p.m. I tend to arrive early and park off to the side and read a book, so I've been observing her arguing with the duty teacher every afternoon with amusement. Yesterday, I saw Entitled Mom's kid, clearly not new to high school, in the senior uniform, so I'm guessing that Entitled Mom is just a pain in the butt about parking in general. Until today, that is. I went into the office at 2:30 p.m. to pay some school fees and sort out some admin stuff. I was less than impressed when I saw that Entitled Mom was already at the counter, so I just sat down and waited. A side note here, we pay something called the resource scheme annually, which means the kids get up-to-date textbooks and reference material. This is non-negotiable, and a student really can't participate in schoolwork without this in place. Entitled Mom was not shy about her displeasure about having to pay it. It seems that the scheme has gone up to $15 this year to allow for newer textbooks to be purchased. But Entitled Mom wasn't just upset about the extra $15. We've got Entitled Mother, we've got Office Lady, and we've got Deputy Principal. Entitled Mom:
This is extortion. My daughter is taking the same subjects as last year. Why does she have to pay again?
Office Lady: The resource scheme is payable as part of the school fees to ensure your daughter gets access to the best reference material.
She doesn't need it. She got senior textbooks from the student who graduated last year, and she can just use those. I'm not paying it.
Office Lady: Those textbooks were supposed to be returned. The student who sold them to her will be billed for those textbooks, and some of them are not being used this year. We have upgraded to new science textbook.
Extortion! There is nothing wrong with the old textbooks. You just want to make more money.
Office Lady: Mrs. Entitled Mom, the new science textbook covers certain subjects in greater detail than the old one. Your daughter won't be able to complete classwork with an outdated textbook and will have the old ones confiscated. Entitled Mom:
You'll steal them from her? To get more money? This is disgusting.
Entitled Mom continues to rant about things that are only barely related to textbooks until the Deputy Principal overhears and comes out of his office at the other end of the building. Deputy Principal: Mrs. Entitled Mom, what's the problem?
This criminal is threatening to steal my daughter's textbooks.
Principal looks at Office Lady, who just shrugs. Mrs. Entitled Mom, the school participates in the resource scheme where the students return textbooks at the end of the year and are issued curriculum-appropriate texts for the new year. This ensures that all our students have access to—
Oh, so I'm paying for other students.
Entitled Mom breaks off into another rant about how if parents can't afford books for their kids, they shouldn't be allowed into the school. It was at this point that the principal suggested they go and talk in his office. My transaction took about 10 minutes all up, and throughout it all, I could hear Entitled Mom tearing into the principal. After completing my business, I wander back out to my car to wait for my kid. At about 2:55 p.m., Entitled Mom comes storming out of the office and discovers a parking flyer under her windshield. Not an actual ticket, just a flyer that advises safe parking zones, etc. The duty teacher has a stash to give to new parents who aren't sure where to park when picking up/dropping off. I had the delightful opportunity to watch entitled mom lose her crap over a piece of paper until her daughter appeared and then drove off, exceeding the 40km/h speed limit. Alas, if only the local police had been on patrol, it would have been the cherry on top of a very entitled Sunday. Do you think it's necessary to have an updated textbook every single year that students have to pay for? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got Entitled Couple Threatens Us with a Lawsuit. Me again from the good old animal shelter. This one may tick some of you off, but I just want to preface by saying all I'm doing is reporting on what happened. As I've said before, animal shelters are magnets for the entitled, and this story is no different. Now this happened towards the end of last December. Our shelter got in what we refer to as a unicorn. That means we got a young French bulldog puppy. To a county animal shelter, this is extremely rare, as these dogs usually come from breeders or puppy stores and will go for up to $4,000 a pup. It's like finding a brand new Ferrari in a thrift store. Of course, the moment this dog is in our system, we have a line of people already wanting to adopt it. Now, our county shelter has a policy where we hold any stray animals for 72 hours to give any owners a chance to reclaim their lost pet before the pet becomes property of the county and we look to rehome them. The first day this Frenchie was in our shelter, we had 8 different families put their names on a list to adopt. Our shelter is a first-come, first-served shelter, so we would call the first name on the list, and if they didn't want the pup or couldn't take them, we would call the second, and so on and so on. Pretty much, these people were in a line to adopt this one pupper. Now, this story happened the last day of the stray hold period, before the dog was even ours to adopt out. 2 men walk in together. They are the entitled couple, eager to adopt a new pup for their new apartment they just moved into. So we've got the entitled couple and we've got me. Me. Hey there, how y'all doing? Entitled couple. Good, we are looking to adopt. Me. Awesome, dog or cat? Entitled couple. A dog, please. Me. Okay, and what kind of dog are you looking for? We would like a small dog, please. Well, I'll let you know we don't have any small dogs available, but I'll take y'all through the kennels and we'll see if any of our dogs catch your eye. I take them through the kennels, and of course, what we have the most of are pits and bully breeds that are usually not allowed in an apartment. I keep trying to ask them questions and show them dogs, but at this point, they're just ignoring me and talking to each other. Of course, as we walk through the kennel, they see the Frenchie, and that's when they lose it. Entitled couple. Oh my God, that's the one we want. Me. Oh, well, this little guy has a pretty long waiting list on him. I point to the sign on his kennel saying he already has adopters lined up for him. Entitled couple. No, we want him now. Me. Well, I can put your names on the list in case the other adopters aren't able to take him or don't want him. Entitled couple scoffs, and one rolls their eyes. No, we are not going on a list. We want him now. Me. Well, even if he didn't have adopters lined up already, he's still on the stray hold period, so we can't actually adopt him. I get cut off. Entitled couple. We want him now. Me. I can't give him to you. He's not ours yet. Cut off again. I don't care. Give him to us now. Me. No. At this point, I figure they are not gonna let me explain anything, so I just flat out say no. They both go quiet, look at each other. One smugly smiles and says, he will be leaving with us by the end of the day. At that point, they walk out and leave the shelter. I walk back into the front office and tell the office staff what happened as they heard the yelling even over the dogs barking. We all kind of shrug it off as empty threats from crazy entitled people, stuff we're used to by now. An hour later, we get a call from the county's Human Resources office. Entitled couple called them and threw a fit, told them we are refusing to adopt them because of discrimination, and that if they don't get the dog, they are suing and contacting the news. The higher-ups lose their crap and immediately give in to their demands. They tell us to give them the dog and not even charge an adoption fee. Shortly after that, in walks entitled couple with smug grins. We will be taking our baby. As the office staff hand over the French bulldog, they turn to me. Told you. They walk out with the dog in their arms. Now here's where the karma kicks in. French bulldogs, while cute, have extreme separation anxiety among some other not so favorable habits. They are great dogs if you take care of them. Entitled couple did not take care of the dog. Super Bowl weekend, and we are hosting a big adoption party for the shelter dogs. Basically a come in and adopt them please, for the love of God, we have no kennel space party. In walks entitled couple, upset and ranting and raving about how we adopted a monster out to them. Basically, both of them work, so the dog is left alone most of the day and made the most of his time destroying their apartment. They showed us pictures of the carpet that the landlord is now demanding they pay to replace, furniture ripped to pieces, stains in an expensive mattress they had to throw out. They demanded we take the dog back and reimburse them for the damage to their property. We take the dog back and tell them they are not getting reimbursed for anything. They scoff again and threaten to sue us until our front desk lady pulls out the adoption paperwork they signed at the time of the original adoption and said they are 100% responsible for the dog and the shelter is no longer responsible for the animal at the time of adoption. So even if they took us to court, they would have a bad time. They start losing their crap and say they'll call human resources again. I tell them that won't do them any good as they signed a legal contract, but they are welcome to try. They give me the smug smile again, call HR, and proceed to scream at the phone when they don't get their way. HR told them the same thing we did. They signed a contract, they took ownership of the dog, they're not getting crap, and the county has a lawyer on hand should they want to take this to court. At this point, they are completely defeated. I smile as they turn to walk out and say, "Told you." 2 days later, the pupper got adopted by an old lady who has 2 other Frenchies and spends all day of her retirement spoiling them. Speaking of dogs, what's your favorite dog breed of all time? Please leave a comment right now letting me know. Next we've got, Entitled Mom calls me a liar when I tell her I don't work here. Man, can't people just mind their own business? Well, for starters, I was wearing an all-black outfit and the staff outfit of that particular grocery store was red and white. So there's really no way to confuse me for an employee there. But anyways, I was a student at that time and didn't have a lot of money to spare, but I still loved snacks. So every time I went to buy some, I'd spend quite a while on deciding which options I would go for. This time, I decided to go for some bags of nachos with dip. So I took them and carried them towards the register, but on my way there, I saw another aisle that had a lot of different sugary snacks on sale. And of course, being able to save money, I decided to put back the nachos and buy more snacks for the same price. As I walked back into the salty snacks aisle, I looked through it to find the nachos I chose before so I could put them back where I found them. I'm just not the type to put things back where they don't belong. But then I start contemplating again. I initially came for the nachos, but the gummies are less expensive, so I'm standing there and evaluating my options. Yes, I am that serious about snacks. Then this lady walks up to me and asks me where she can find something or whatever. I didn't really hear her because I was listening to music, and also I thought maybe she was talking to someone else in the aisle, because why would she talk to a 6-foot-tall, goth-dressed teen with headphones over my ears? When suddenly she grabbed my arm and shook me a little to get my attention. She startled me, so I yanked off my headphones from my head and said, "What?" Well, not in the most polite way, but it was because she startled me. She then asked me why I ignored her. I was confused because I didn't know why I should be obligated to talk to her. Me, "Sorry, I couldn't hear you," gestured towards my headphones that were now in my hands, still being polite because I didn't know what she was going to ask me. Her, "You should not be listening to music while you're working," in the most disgusted, snobbish voice. Me, a little confused and already annoyed. Well, good thing I'm not working. With that, I proceeded to put my headphones back on, but she grabbed my wrist and dragged it away from my head. "How dare you ignore me?" Me, "I'm not obligated to listen or to talk to you. Now don't touch me again." Mind you, I don't like talking to strangers. It makes me nervous and annoys me. I can manage if you're polite, but dragging my arm? Oh, no. Her, "I'm going to tell your boss. You'll get fired for such behavior." Me, being an unemployed teen. "Lady, I don't work here. Would you leave me alone now?" Her, "Don't lie to me. I saw you put the chips back on the shelf." Me, looking visibly confused by her after a pause. "So?"
Her. So you work here? I saw you restock the shelves. I want to speak to your manager. Now. Me, shaking my head in disbelief. What, so am I not allowed to put my groceries back on the shelf if I change my mind? I don't work here. Her. You wouldn't be putting it back on the shelf. It belongs on if you didn't work here. Me. Well, not everyone is a jerk. Unlike you, dear. Okay, I didn't say unlike you, but God, I wanted to. Her. Go and get me your manager, you rude brat. They should stop hiring kids. Me. Good thing they don't. With that, I took the nachos back into my hands and walked off back towards the register. She still screamed after me about how rude I am and that I should stop right there and listen to her. Called me a bratty kid and a nosy jerk, and then dragged some employee towards her, telling the poor dude to get my manager. The dude looks at me and then looks at her and goes, "She doesn't work here, ma'am." She stared at him in disbelief and then looked back at me standing at the register, getting ready to pay. She was fuming, but I just looked back at her, threw her a peace sign, and went home with my nachos. She probably still believes I work there. Speaking of nachos, what's your favorite flavor of Doritos? Please leave a comment right now letting me know. Next we've got, I do work here. Now go wash the dishes. I manage 3 restaurants. I started as a dishwasher and worked my way up the totem pole. The owner recently retired and just pays the bills. The rest of the operation is on me. I joke around and say the chain of command is God, the owner, me, and then there is everyone else. A year or 2 ago, a new shift manager had been hired, and when you run 3 restaurants, it's impossible to immediately meet every employee. But anyway, I was in one of the restaurants sitting at my favorite booth, and I heard the new manager talking rather loudly. He was standing next to a server trying to take an order. Now this server has a slight learning disability, but is highly functional. Jerk was standing there in front of the customers saying things like, "You have to be patient, she's slow, I'm helping her as much as I can. Oh, look at you, your uniform is a mess, you need help." He was talking about her apron. "You could get caught and hurt yourself, we don't want you to do that, would we?" Berating her when she asked a customer to repeat their order. I leaned out of the booth I was sitting in and looked at Mary, the server. She saw me, and I put a finger to my lips to signal her not to say anything. Mary gave a slight nod, indicating she saw me. I got out of my booth and walked around the kitchen. The cooks and dishwashers said, "Hello, Mr. H. Decided to pay us a visit?" "Not right now." Tony knew by me just saying that something was wrong, because we usually exchange banter between each other. "Tony, do me a favor. Tell Jerk Manager there's a phone call in the office and tell Mary her order is up." I walked into the office, sat down, and waited. Jerk came into the office, and I saw Mary. Told her I need to talk to her next and to sit in the break room. Jerk Manager looked at me in my street clothes and, "Look, payday isn't till Monday. No advances." "I'm not here for my paycheck." "Oh, you must be here for stock," he said. Me. "No, I'm not here for stock either," I said. "Then why the heck are you in here if you don't work here?" he huffed. "Oh, I work here all right. I am your manager. I only answer to the owner." The penny dropped. "Oh, hi, Mr. H. It's a please to—" "Close the door, now," I interrupted. "I heard what you were saying and saw what you were doing to Mary. You call yourself a manager? How the heck did you get this job?" He said. "Well, Mary is a little—" Me. "A sweetheart who doesn't deserve to be treated like that. Yes, she has a slight problem, but she is one of my best employees and has more heart than you ever will. I am going to give you 3 options. 1, I fire you. 2, you quit. 3, you take a demotion. It's your choice." Jerk said, "How do I know you really work here?" I picked up the phone and made a call to the owner. "Yeah, hey, how are you?" "Yeah, I'm fine. Look, could you tell Jerk who works for you? He doesn't seem to believe me." "Yeah, I know. Have a great day." I handed the phone to Jerk and watched as the color drained from his face. He handed the phone back to me. "Now, about those 3 options. Choose now or I will decide for you." "I'll take the demotion," he said in a low voice. "Good choice. Grab an apron and get on the dish tank." "Dishes? You're making me a dishwasher?" "Yeah, I am. Do you honestly think I would put you in a position over others? If you work hard enough, I might make you a bus boy." He stormed out of the office and headed to the dish tank.
The dishwashers who were back there were brutal. They considered him as a new hire. I started as a dishwasher, and when I started, I got the worst jobs. Jerk was back washing dishes and tried giving them orders. "Okay, boss, we got it." And the snickering began. "What? You believed me? We have more seniority. Now go get the garbage can and clean the filters in the dish tank," I heard Mike say, who's a dishwasher. I called Mary and said, "Mary, are you okay, honey?" And that's when the dam broke. Mary broke down sobbing. "He does that to me all the time. He said if I ever told anyone, no one would believe me because I am a—" No, you are not. Don't let anyone tell you that you are different. And don't ever let anyone make you feel like less of a human. You are just as needed as everyone else. We are all your friends here, and we love you. Okay? A slight smile came from her face as she looked at me, nodding her head yes. Alrighty, now go clean yourself up. Your mascara is running all over. Then go get your stuff and clock out. Am I being fired? Did I do something wrong, Mr. H? No, Mary, you just had a rough day. You will be paid for a full day's work, and I want you here tomorrow. And until your father comes to pick you up, sit back and listen. You might like what you hear. Now go wash your face, okay? Mary went to clean herself up and returned to the office. We sat and talked, then heard a loud crash of dishes. Watch this, Mary. I yelled from the office. That's coming out of your paycheck. And I heard more dishes crashing and heard Jerk screaming. Forget you! Forget these dishes! Forget these guys! Forget this restaurant! Forget everyone! I quit this job! I looked at Mary and said, I don't think he will be back. He seems a bit upset. Or is it just me? Mary's dad arrived. I told him the situation and I expect to see her tomorrow. She is a very good, hard worker. I don't want to lose her. And Mary, go home and relax and think about the jerk, all sweaty, dirty, wearing an apron, washing dishes, and laugh. And remember, you are needed here. Now show up tomorrow or I will come and get you. And if a manager gives you a hard time, you call me. Mary left with a smile, and as I left, I walked past the dish tank and the dishwashers were sweeping up the broken dishes and laughing hysterically. I don't know what happened to Jerk and don't care. Speaking of first jobs, what was the first job you ever had? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got Karen orders salad, tells me she doesn't like it, wants a free meal. I manage at a counter service place, a reasonably nice cafe within a park. Customers order and pay, and then we bring the food out to them. Weekends get very busy, but there are plenty of staff to manage those shifts. So today I'm walking the floor and get called over by a lady who has just been served her food, a chicken and avocado salad. She indicates to her plate and tells me that there is a lot of rocket there. Now, the salad is listed as containing chicken, avocado, rocket, pomegranate, and pancetta. It's a nice salad. I have it a lot myself. So I politely point out to the lady that yes, the salad is indeed made with rocket. I thought she might say that she read the menu incorrectly, but she then told me that she read that it came with rocket but assumed it would be a mixed salad. This was quite hard to respond to because what more can a place do than list the ingredients in a dish? She certainly didn't ask while ordering. So I tried to explain that as the meal was exactly as advertised and of good quality, and that it came out in a timely manner, that unfortunately I would neither refund her meal or swap it for something else, but I would take her comments as feedback for a potential menu change in the future. She then told me I had poor customer service and that I could have at least offered her a new meal. At this point, I really started to believe she was entitled, as she was essentially suggesting I should replace her perfectly good meal as well as offer her more. So I stuck to my guns and explained again my position. At this point, she cut me off and took out her phone to start writing what turned out to be a bad review. I actually really pride myself on customer service and get a fair amount of praise from my regulars. I will go the extra mile to help someone find a dish they can eat or fix something that's not quite right, but everyone has to draw a line somewhere. I won't start giving free food out to anyone that won't read. I do have a business to run. Been stewing all evening and trying to shake it off. I think the fact that she called me condescending in her review has really got to me because I did my absolute best to be polite and honest with her. Edit. Thanks for the support and some opposing opinions. I will stick by how I handled it as I believed it is fair for the venue and the country in which I work. I appreciate that at other places it's better to suck it up and give the customer anything they need,
but they're not the kind of places I want to work. If you were in this position, how would you have handled the situation? Please leave a comment letting me know. Does this look medium well to you? Context: I'm a teenager that works at a multi-floor restaurant. Because it's usually very busy, we only have a kitchen on the first floor, and waiters are generally assigned to a ton of tables. We have waiters and servers. Waiters take the order of the customer and generally handle most of the upfront contact with them, and servers carry the food, usually up flights of stairs, on a tray to the table that ordered it. I am a server. Meet your stunning cast. We've got me, random girl who probably enjoyed this exchange way too much. We've got Karen, entitled lady, probably around 40. Can I speak to your manager? Hairdo. We've got Brenda, assumedly the mother of Karen, around 60 to 70, reeks of way too much lavender perfume. We've got Steve, my coworker, a waiter with a totally awesome looking man bun, not his actual name. We've got Jimmy, my other coworker, a server, good friend of mine, once again not his actual name. And we've got poor dude, Karen's significant other. So, I was working a normal Saturday evening shift, and we've hit the dinner rush that usually starts around 5 and runs until 8. This basically means that us servers are running food practically non-stop up staircases and sometimes have to carry a larger tray with the food for anywhere between 2 and 4 tables. So yeah, it's hectic. Anyways, I'm sent to the second floor with 3 tables orders, and as we aren't really supposed to have the slips of paper with the specific orders out as it's considered unprofessional, I was somewhat struggling to remember which table ordered which burger, who had the nachos, etc. I set my massive tray onto one of the foldable mini tables we carry around when we have a large tray, and I set to work picking up foods and announcing what each one was so the customers could let me know where to set it. I'm in the middle of doing this for a second table when I hear somebody clear their throat loudly. I glance over at them to see a woman, Karen, waving me over, clearly mad about something. I smile at her and say, "I'll be over in just a minute," and I get back to work. I finally reached the third table and was starting to help them when I heard that sound that causes you to just know you're gonna deal with entitled people. Karen. Ahem. I nod in her direction and wave shortly to let her know I haven't forgotten her. Karen. Ahem. Me, rolling my eyes, but keeping up my customer service face and voice. Thanks for your patience this far. I'll help you as soon as I finish here. Karen. I need service over here. Me. Okay, I'll only be a minute. Karen rolls her eyes and makes some snide remark to Brenda, who shakes her head at me. I finished serving these really nice customers their food, and they were both pretty loud when thanking me for my awesome service, as they can tell as well as I can what I'm about to deal with. I thank them, and one lady mouthed good luck to me. Oh boy. I walk over to their table and put on my best customer service grin. Mind you, as I spoke, I was trying so hard to sound ecstatic to help them that I'm sure I sounded like a Disney princess or something. Me. Hello, how may I help you? Karen. There's something extremely wrong with my food. Me. Oh, I'm sorry. What seems to be the issue? Karen points at her completely untouched burger. This is the issue. Me. I'm sorry, I don't fully understand. Could you possibly elaborate so I can help more? Karen, rolling her eyes. Fine. She cuts her burger in half with a knife, opens it, and points out a tiny spot of pink. Does this look medium well to you? For the record, medium well-cooked burgers mean there is a little pink in it. Me, laughing internally and trying to keep a straight face. Oh, sorry for the confusion. I'm pretty sure that medium well means there is a little pink in it. I understand how— No, you are wrong, and clearly know nothing about how food is cooked. There should not be any pink whatsoever. I'm not paying for this abomination. Poor dude. Honey. Karen, don't interrupt me. At this point, I glance at Brenda and poor dude. Brenda is giving me a death glare for whatever reason, and poor dude is just sitting there pretty pale and obviously uncomfortable. So I decide to try to end it as soon as possible for his sake. Me. I apologize for any confusion. I'm afraid I don't have my tablet with me, so I can't enter your order. But would you like me to grab your waiter? Karen. Is that even a question? Me. Okay, do you know what their name is?
I can try to find them for you.
No.
At this point, Brenda finally chimes in, acting all high and mighty. Brenda.
Oh, I didn't catch his name, but I know what he looks like.
Me. Okay, I can try to work with that. What does he look like?
Brenda. Well, he is kind of tall, and he's not that good looking.
I internally roll my eyes. Brenda, smug as heck.
Oh, right. I remember. He had...
Not even kidding. She paused for dramatic effect. She then said the next part like she was disgusted.
A ponytail.
Me, practically wheezing, as I was not expecting that. Oh, I think I know who you're talking about. Brenda gives a smug grin. Okay, I'll grab him for you. So I go and find my coworker Steve, the only guy on the floor with a man bun, and tell him what's going on. Not gonna lie, we laughed about it for a minute straight before he went out to deal with them, and I ran back to the kitchen to serve more food. Anyways, Steve ended up re-entering her order, this time as a well-done burger, for free. Sadly, I was not the one that ran that order, but the good news is my friend Jimmy got it and told me about it after the rush was over. This isn't word for word in any way because I heard it about 2 hours after it happened. Jimmy. Hi, I have your classic cheeseburger cooked. Well done. Thanks for your patience. We do apologize for the previous confusion. Karen. Jimmy. Sorry, I didn't hear what you said. Where would you like me to set this?
You may as well throw it away.
I'm not going to eat it. Okay, well, the chefs made it for you for free. So would you like me to get you a to-go box?
You teenagers never listen, do you?
What?
I said I don't want it. Go throw it away. You get paid to do stuff for customers, right?
Jimmy, pretty shocked. Look, I don't want to get in trouble for throwing away food if you suddenly decide you want it. So I'm gonna just leave it here, and you can feel free to throw it away if you really don't want it. He walked away, ignoring how upset Karen was at that. Anyways, us servers didn't hear from them again, as we were busy and they didn't order anything else. However, I did manage to pass by their table after they left, and they left it a mess. They literally dumped their leftover sodas and drinks onto the plates and pulled the lining out of their nacho chip basket. That burger the chefs had remade? It was looking like a horse trampled the food in old McDonald's barn with the bun over here, the meat over there, here a lettuce, there a lettuce, everywhere lettuce, lettuce. The only clean area was where poor guy sat, and I felt bad for the man. I mean, he has to constantly deal with Karen, and possibly Brenda too. Oh, and guess what? No tip for the poor waiter. But don't worry, because those nice people at the third table I helped left a 40% tip for the waiter to compensate, and Jimmy and I got this story. So, all's well that ends well. Speaking of burgers, how do you like yours cooked? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got, Entitled Mom demands I send a wedding gift. So I did. My family and I immigrated to the US when I was 7, and for the first 3 months we were here, we lived with a relative of my mom's who immigrated a few years before us. The dad helped my dad going to interviews, helped him buy a car, and helped us find our bearings in the US. My family and I are Buddhist, and this family are Christian. When we lived with them, they strongly encouraged us to go to the church with them every Sunday, and they tried to keep us going to church with them when my family found a temple and started attending it. They started treating us like crap. Their sons would pick on me and make fun of my English and told me I won't go to college and probably just end up being a repairman. The mom and their daughter would make fun of my sister for her weight loss and gains. When we found out later that this was due to lupus and she had to be hospitalized, they told my mom the reason my sister is sick is because of our religion. About 15 years ago, the dad lost his job. My parents, who were now doing well, needed to retile the house, so they hired the dad to do it, and when I asked how much they were charged, I was floored, thinking they miscalculated. I told them they were way overpaying, but my dad just said, "We're paying them back." This happened again. Every home improvement project my dad did, he would always hire the dad and would always be overcharged. The crappy thing is, the work was beyond subpar. Like the retiling work, I had to regrout the entire job when I visited one holiday. On top of this, they would always ask to borrow money and never paid my dad back. At this point, I figured my parents paid them back and then some. Frankly, I was completely done with them when I heard what they said about my sister. One day, I got a wedding invitation. Their middle son is getting married. Not wanting to have anything to do with them, I RSVP no. About a month later, I got a call from their mom asking why I haven't sent a gift yet. She demanded I send a gift despite my protest. I am not obligated to. Then she mentioned how my family owed them, and she knew I could afford to send gifts because I had a well-paying job, and how she always prayed for us to be saved. When she said this, it triggered the wheels in my brain to turn, and I told her she's right. I was being rude, and I will send a gift. When I hung up, I immediately looked up every non-Christian house of worship in their area and made a donation in the happy couple's name. About 2 to 3 weeks later, I got a call from the mom. I answered as politely as I could. "Oh, hi, did you enjoy the gift?" This was met with a barrage of yelling, screeching, and a torrent of insults. I was barely able to make anything out. The daughter called my sister, and the middle son called me later, demanding an explanation. I flat out told him everything and was 100% non-apologetic about it. Actually, I did say I was sorry for not being there to see the whole thing go down. When I spoke to my sister later, this is what we're able to piece together. They had the wedding shower at their church after services, and they were opening their gifts then. Well, they got to my gift. Everyone was uncomfortable seeing all the donations to the houses of worship with definitely non-Christian names made in the couple's names. Then the bride's parents flipped out when they saw the membership cards and certificates with the family's name on it. The bride's parents demanded she break off the engagement, and she did. Everyone in their church apparently thinks the whole family are trying to corrupt their church, and they are now treated as pariahs. I ran into the mom and dad a few weeks ago at the market, and I looked at them. They scurried away from me. Was I a jerk for doing this? Yeah, no debate there. But I figure with how much I donated, I don't think anyone can call me ungrateful or say it's a cheap wedding gift. But really, I am sorry. I wasn't there to see the whole thing go down. Next we've got, Lady got mad I didn't help her and spills my coffee all over me. So this was like 2 years ago. I was at the grocery store in the water aisle picking up a bottle of soda for a party later when I noticed an older man struggling with a gallon of water. I offered to help and put the water jug into his cart. I asked if he needed help lifting it when he got to his car, but he declined and said his son and wife were in another aisle. He thanked me and left, so I went back to the soda deciding which one to get. Once my back is turned, I hear it. Those dreaded words you never want to hear when you just want to pick up one thing and leave. "Excuse me?" I turn around and I see her. Typical Karen. Fake tan skin, obnoxiously large sunglasses, wearing a neon pink 2 sizes too small t-shirt, jean shorts, and flip-flops. Me. Yes? Karen. "Now that you're finally done with that old man, you can pick up this water," pointing at the 36-bottle package of water, "and carry it to the front with me." Her cart was packed full of different foods. The bottom of it also had stuff on it. Me. "I'm sorry, but I don't work here. But I can get an employee to help." I was wearing a plain t-shirt and shorts, nothing that indicated I worked there. She looks me over. "I don't care if it's your day off or whatever. You will lift that water, and you will come with me to the front." Me. "No, I won't. If that's the attitude you're going to have when asking for help, you can do it yourself." I turn around, grab a Mountain Dew, and walk away. "Jerk!" she screamed at full volume. I ignored her and kept walking. I was about to head to the checkout when I saw they had a Starbucks next to it. I ordered an iced coffee without a lid or a straw because I wanted to try and save the environment. I get to the self-service and just wait in the line. When it's my turn to scan, I hear a familiar voice right behind me. "That's him!" I turn around and I see her again with a confused manager in tow. "This is the one who refused to help me." Confused manager points to me. "Him?" "Yes," she said with glee. "That's him." Confused manager. "Ma'am, he doesn't work here." Karen interrupts him. "Yes, he does." Her every word dropping with venom. "And oh, look, he's drinking coffee instead of helping me." I just glared at her and said nothing. "Put down that coffee and help me with my groceries." She slapped the coffee out of my hand, which caused it to spill all over me before it hit the floor. The heck? The manager becoming less confused and turns to me. "Sir, do you want me to call the police?" I'm wiping my shirt. "No, I just want her gone. Now." Manager, you heard him, ma'am.
Karen, stumbling.
But, Manager, you have two options. You can either leave willingly, or I'll call the police and they'll drag you out in handcuffs.
Karen turns and spits at me.
Jack! She storms right out at the front door with none of her stuff. I clean up in the bathroom, and they even give me 2 bottles of soda for free. The sad part of all this was I would have helped her if she just minded her manners. Speaking of soda, what's your favorite flavor of soda? Please leave a comment right now letting me know. Next we've got, you stole my car, I will make you homeless. This story happened approximately 4 years ago to a friend of mine. He and his wife, girlfriend back then, took a house loan, bought a new Chevrolet Camaro, and in general they were preparing for a life together. He had proposed to her. Because of their lack of free time, due to their hard working to pay off the loan, they didn't have much time for themselves, nor for the abnormal amount of other things such as the housework. So they hired a maid. His first impressions about her were good, and they decided that she's the person they would trust, and they handed her their house keys because they were at work most of the time she came around to clean their house. First few weeks, she worked hard and always paid attention to detail and nicely cleaned their house from the bottom to the very top. She was also instructed not to let anyone in and to always lock the door when she left. After 6 months of working there, strange things began to happen. Not in any anomalous way, but things started to disappear, being stolen. It all started with small things like AA batteries, which are barely noticeable missing. But soon things graduated as phone chargers, perfumes, the more expensive ones, and some electrical gadgets went missing. My friend thought that he simply lost them, but soon the maid raised suspicion as the things went missing when my friend wasn't present when she was detailing their house. But without any evidence, blaming her wasn't in place. Also, he found out on some social media that she has got some serious debts, at least in thousands of dollars, ailments, divorce court settlements, etc. So he decided to install security cameras and he didn't tell the maid. 5 weeks forward, and he had enough evidence to press charges on her as the things she stole were valued at $250+. In my country, anything stolen above $250 is considered a crime. He got furious when his flash disk containing private documents as well as some of his billing and his official work documents was stolen. But he wanted her to get even more into the stealing so he could squish even the last cent out of her. So he came up with a plan. He told the maid that he and his girlfriend will be gone for a week for a honeymoon and that he will be going by a taxi, not to pay the extra money that airports charge for the parking. That means his brand new Chevrolet Camaro would stay parked in the house the maid has keys off. They rented an apartment through Airbnb just a few blocks away from his place, and he placed a GPS tracking keychain into his car so he could see where his car is through the phone app. He then placed the car keys in a visible spot in the house so the maid would notice. All that was left was to wait for the magic to happen, and his intuition was right. After 2 days of almost constant watching the GPS tracker's location, the car left the garage. All of a sudden, the car was cruising at 90 miles per hour on the highway. My friend immediately called the cops. They caught the maid something like 20 miles away, and now the revenge can take place. He decided to press charges on the maid. At the court, the maid told the judges my friend told her to drive the car to some untold location. She acted like she forgot where it was. And the one that should go to jail is him, because he wrongly accused her and he just wants to get money from her to pay his loan. But the tables turned. My friend and his lawyer showed the court all of the video evidence of her stealing his stuff valued highly above $250. It was like $40,000 including the car. So it was a crime. She started telling every single lie she could think of. The security had to calm her down. She is facing 5 years in jail and she was charged $5,000, including all the stolen property, but the car, his lawyer, and some other court stuff. The price was excluding the car because it was returned almost immediately. Few days later, police did a house check on her and most of the stolen stuff was there. There were also some other things reported missing from other customers of hers. Due to her previous debts and her new ones she owes, she will very likely become homeless when she gets out of jail. Speaking of cars, what's your dream car? Please leave a comment letting me know. Next we've got, entitled old ladies want to see my ID, so I showed it to them. My grandma's favorite pastime is playing bingo. On our 18th birthday, she would take us with her for a little birthday treat. Dinner, then bingo.
On my 18th birthday, my mom also tagged along with us too. Dinner was great, and then we went to the bingo hall. My grandma let me buy the tickets for her, as I could legally do that now. The lady behind the desk asked for my ID, which I showed her. She wished me a happy birthday and good luck. All the old ladies sitting around us kept saying how cute I was and were wishing me luck. There was a claw machine there, and if you didn't win a prize, it gave you a ticket. If you collected 5 tickets, you could take it to the front desk and they would give you a prize. I kept forgetting my tickets, and a few of the ladies came over and gave them to me, letting me know I had forgotten them, and again saying how cute I was to be playing bingo with my mom and grandma. The first game started. If you've never been to a bingo hall, basically they have a camera set up, so you can see the next ball on a big TV screen. You can mark that number on your card as soon as it appears on the TV, but it doesn't officially count until the caller calls that number. We played and lost a few games, but then it came time for the first big prize game of the night, a full card for $1,000. About 15 or so minutes into the game, my last number comes up on the screen. I turned to my grandma and said, as calmly as if I was telling her what I had for breakfast that morning, I think I got a full card. My grandma starts flipping out. He's got a full card! Oh, he's got a full card! They finally call the number, so I stand up and yell, bingo! All of the old ladies look at me, and if looks could kill, I would have died 100 times over. The worker comes over and takes my card. How they verify the cards are, each card has a number in the middle that is the computer. The worker reads that number off to a caller. They punch it in, and it comes up on a big TV screen showing your card and how many numbers you have/don't have. When they punched in mine, it showed that I had about 5 numbers missing. A false bingo. Everyone that was already staring daggers at me fired more daggers. Dumb kid can't play properly. What an idiot, etc. But the worker yells to the caller, no, it's 4-5, not 5-4. They punch in the proper number, and there it is, clear as day, a full card. She takes my card into the back and comes out with $1,000 cash. All the old ladies are yelling at her as she walks past. Hey, he can't play. He is too young. You need to card him. The worker walks over and says, hey, I know we carded you before you bought the tickets, but I just need to check it again, just to keep everyone happy. I gladly pulled out my ID and gave it to her. She looked at it, said, yep, looks good. Happy birthday. And she handed me the $1,000. I had never seen that much money in my life, so I instantly gave it to my mom to hold on to. We had agreed that anything we won, we would split 3 ways anyways. The game continued, but the people dabbing around me seemed to dab just a bit harder than normal. I went to the washroom and I could hear their snarky comments as I walked past them. All the ladies that were calling me cute earlier were now looking at me like I was a horrible person. Time for the final game of the night, the second big prize game. Another full card game for $1,000. As luck would have it, about 15 minutes or so, I see my last number on the screen. I laughed this time. I have a full card again. Again, my grandma yelled like she did the first time. Oh my God, he's got it again! They call my number, and I once again stand up and say, bingo! I can hear audible bangs on the tables and people yelling, come on, this is not fair, etc. The worker comes over, and sure enough, it's a full card again. I swear, the place was going to riot. I didn't feel safe walking to my car afterwards. People were getting in the worker's face yelling at her saying, there is no way he is 18. He is not allowed to play. We are going to get this place closed down for allowing him to play bingo, etc. The worker walks over to me, $1,000 in hand, and says, hey, sorry, I know I already carded you, but they're asking me to do it again. I said no problem, and I pulled it out and gave it to her again. The old lady still yelled, how do we know he is 18? He could be in cahoots with them. So the worker asked if she could borrow my ID for a second. I said sure, and she took it over to the caller's booth. She put it in front of the ball camera, and there it was on all the TVs, my ID with my birthday on it. She yelled to everyone, clearly annoyed. See, he is 18. He's allowed to play. The room went quiet. They knew there was nothing they could say now. She came back over to me and handed me my ID with $1,000, and once again, with a smile, said, happy birthday. I'm now the favorite grandson, and I got a new computer with my share. So, happy birthday to me.
Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard.
Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.